Well, hello everybody. Super late start. You can blame me in having moved and being a parent.
Imagine having to take care of another human being. Oh, wait. I already made that joke.
Do that for a living, yeah.
You barely take care of yourself, Spaz.
It's actually true. I'm not even going to deny that. I mean, hey, I did make dinner for both myself and my brothers, so I do technically kind of take care of another human being in that respect.
I have the classic parent statement right now. You guys could start asking each other questions for the chat, if there is anybody there right now. And, yeah. I have to go turn the oven off.
All right. Get
That
the
is-
oven on.
Very classical parent of you, but that's okay.
I have to go check the oven. You guys take care of yourselves. Don't get into too much trouble. God. Okay.
So this is kind of like a generalized question, I suppose, about how much experience do you have playing tabletop games like D&D?
Literally 2 sessions, not even longer than like 4 hours each, rather. Because
Okay.
like collective, it's probably about like 6 to 7 hours, and that was several years ago. This is the first proper campaign that I've begun, like, ever.
So like, wow. And this was what? 5th edition? Or is this like older?
When did 5th edition come out?
I actually don't remember. All the years kind of blur together. I remember
It was when I was still in high school. I remember that, so it couldn't have been any sooner than
3.5 maybe.
What was?
I hear 4th edition, I'm gonna hurl.
I don't know. I don't know which edition it was. I just know that it couldn't have been any earlier than, I think, 2016 or 2017. Was it 2015 that I was in high school? I don't know. But between the years of like 2015 to 2018, it was around that area. I think
Could
closer
have been
more like the
3rd edition, could have been
2017.
4th. Because I know 4th came out a little later. But 5th? Shoot, I don't know.
Well, we have the
Relatively
wonderful
within the
power.
last few years or so.
We have the wonderful power of the internet at our fingertips. So I'm just gonna look it up and
Yeah.
5E release date.
Sergeant Google it if you need to.
When did it fucking come out? Well, 5th edition came out in 2014, so I'm 99% sure it was 5th edition. Because I'm like, Critical Role has been using 5th edition forever, so pretty sure it was 5th edition. In any case, it was a homebrew session or campaign that they were doing, and it was based on Fallout, so most of the rules didn't even apply.
Understandable.
Like, everybody had guns. it was fun for the session that I did it. The only thing I remember from that session was I was a kleptomaniac of a character, and I tried to shank a rad roach, but I missed with both attacks.
Oh my god.
And that's all I remember from it. Oh no! I also remember something else from that session. Me being the klepto that I am, we came across a like a traveling trader caravan, or no, I think it was just some traveling traders with like a Brahmin, like a pack Brahmin, and
It's Yummy.
I was trying to hello Yummy.
Hello there, lurking Yummy.
And so I go to steal something off of this Brahmin while the rest of the party is talking to this trader, but they're all fucking like drunk or high or something. So I didn't think they would notice, but I rolled really bad on the sleight of hand for that, and they're like, "Wait a minute, what are you doing?" And I literally all I do is I freeze and I pose myself like a cactar, and I hope that they think I'm a cactus of some sort, and which they did, because I rolled high on the performance check, and they're like, "This is a really weird cactus." Like, so,
Fantastic.
yeah, and I think that was my very first game of D&D. Was that session where I've made traders that I was stealing from believe that I was a cactus when I failed the sleight of hand check.
Nice.
I'm assuming you asked that question based on the shit show that was my brain last Saturday.
No, I asked this question to get a general view of what experience you have with games like this.
Outside of watching like a third of wait, what episode am I even on? Anyways, most of Critical Role Campaign 1, that is like where the extent of my knowledge comes from, is from watching them play.
Understood.
So I would like to believe that I have a better grasp on the mechanics of D&D than somebody trying it for the first time, not having a damn clue what it actually is. But, I mean, hey, I've been wrong before.
Yeah, especially when you roll a nat 1. You've definitely been wrong before.
Yeah.
I have quite a bit of old experience, as I like to call it. I will often talk about 3rd edition and 3.5 due to the fact that that was the edition I was brought up on. My first actual character, I enjoyed a lot. It was a human paladin that essentially turned dragonborn through through rigorous devotion and prayers to Bahamut.
Imagine praying so hard you become a dragon. Like, what the hell?
It was pretty fucking dope, dude, because like Dragonborn wasn't really a playable race back then, but like the way we RP'd it was so cool. Essentially, I would have these prayer checks and stuff as I communed with Bahamut. I had these tasks and stuff that I was set upon that these deeds I went out and did, and well, after a while, Tiamat tried to tempt me, and let's just say I had a very set of precarious rolls that night
Ooh.
that I barely managed to pass. If I would have given in to her or failed those rolls, I was going to turn into a Hydra and wipe the entire party and destroy that town.
No.
So I passed, thank God. And the very next day, essentially, I walked out in like this like scaly skin and like half plate during the time I was getting a set of full plate made. I finally got my full plate for this like arena tournament that I was entering into. It was some sort of gladiatorial event, which the champion was talking mad shit
Yep.
and challenged my guy to. So I was like, all right, fuck it. I'll just get some cool armor from these dwarf dudes. They're selling some plate mail, and I had it custom tailored and everything. And in the middle of this arena, I did everything right. I pretty much kicked his ass, but like right before I went to do this finishing blow, the DM told me, "Hey, I need you to make me a Constitution, like a essentially it was a Constitution saving throw." I was like,
All
okay.
right.
So I make it, and he's like, you feel some pain in your back, and you hear ping, ping, as your plate mail gets really, really tight in the back. And I'm like, oh no,
Oh.
oh no. And so I essentially had to take off my chest piece after like I took my victory and walked away. And after I take off my chest piece, these two freaking wings sprouted from my back.
Ooh.
Now, mind you, I was level 8 by time I got these. So it wasn't like early game flight or anything, but like I got
Oh.
these at level 8 and I was like, damn, all right, I like where this is going. But
That's-
I took the full plate back to the smith because, he had just made it. And he
Yeah.
sees these 2 fucking dits and he's like, oi, what you do to my feckin' armor? You already gone and dented it. I told you not to get it scuffed. What'd you do? Give it to a troll to toss down a mountain? It's
Like, oh, sorry, buddy. I kind of spread her wings in the middle of
it's
this
a
arena
long
match.
story.
Well, you see, what had happened was.
And like that was my first character. I think I got him up to like level 12 or something like that. I I have had just the most fun since.
Sounds like one hell of a. And that was the first campaign you played?
Yeah, that was the first campaign I ever played. It was great, it started out really good. We started in this like rainy almost forest that we were running to this like lighthouse. Uh and then I think one of our members heard some like howling in the distance or something like that. I think it was wolves. And me and most of the party members were like, "Hey, lighthouse, safety, run." Yeah.
Yeah.
Barbarian was like, "Nah, I'm gonna make this a pelt. I need new underwear anyways." Barbarian was proceeded to be mauled and then puppy food.
Yep,
The
that's
rest of the party moved on with their lives.
Yeah, it's such a gift for being dummy barbarian.
Weren't doing that. It was like freaking, I think 9 wolves and an alpha. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna mess with that. That's a yikes.
Yeah, especially when it's a party of 5.
Hmm.
So we lost a member. It was a party of 4 for a long time.
Did that dude quit?
Oh yeah. Our DM was like, "Well, you lost your character." They're like, "Okay, well, am I getting a new one?" "No, maybe next session." "Oh, all right. See you later then. Have a good one."
Maybe next session.
Don't be
Did
dumb.
did that dude ever come back?
Oh yeah, he came back for another session later. He had a good time.
I was gonna
But
say if he got mad because he died of his own stupidity, I was gonna have a big on that one.
nah, I mean he was a little cross, but like it's one of those things. Life goes on.
Alrighty. Well, since I have no good segue, I'm gonna ask a question now, just that we don't go rambling for too long.
Oh yeah.
So you said that this that Shadow, this Tabaxi, is a character that you have played before,
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah.
So what was your when you first came up with the character? What exactly inspired you to create Shadow, and how did he evolve into his most current iteration?
So Twilight is his original name, Twilight Shadow. Um, being his birth name, is a wonderful creature that essentially is raised in a caravan of traders. He often has a heart of gold and a conscience to more or less look out for those in need. He's not always the brightest character, but will more often than not do his best to solve the problems at hand. His charisma usually is a bit lacking. He's not the most educated individual, but he definitely is always been one for adventure, for going out and fighting off monsters. Originally, his story was that he was a gloomstalker. Uh, he lived on the outskirts, obviously, with caravan of his mother, his siblings, and when he came of age, he found a ranger and took an interest in their line of work. This ranger in particular belonged to a sect of gloomstalkers that essentially kept the evil out of like towns and cities, fought the evil back to these like borders of the walls, and pretty much just kept that line between humanity and like survival kept, more or less. And because of this, he's always been like a protector.
Alrighty. So, given that he has mostly been a ranger, specifically this like Gloomstalker, I guess subclass. Is that a subclass for the ranger?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so given that, what made you want to take him in the direction of multi-classing? Was it something that you wanted to do per your backstory, or is it just something that you wanted to do, like you said, to have a min-max build?
So I took this approach thinking anime wise. I was like, all right, I'm not going to take this serious. I'll take it seriously to a point, but I'm like, I want this to be kind of anime for me. And I was like, okay, what is pretty anime? And I was looking at like all these reborn ones, and I was like, these guys all seem like they have specializations, but none of them feel like just a single class. Like, I'm looking at like Konosuba, I'm looking at like Reincarnated as a Slime, I'm looking at like all of these different ones, and I'm like, okay, these are all really cool, but none of these characters just stick to like one class. So I'm like, I would probably multi-class if I had the choice. And so I chose 3 of the ones that would generally be like a protagonist. Usually you're a fighter, usually you're a thief, or usually you're this like vagabond ranger type. I mean, yes, there's the casters and stuff out there, but I'm not trying to play a caster, so I stuck to the 3 ones that's going to give me that martial versatility without going uh shall we say JoJo's Bizarre Monk and then Guts the Barbarian.
No, it's
It,
JoJo's is something different. That's the
yeah,
Warlock shit. Warlock is JoJo's shit. No, the monk is probably more akin to something like One Punch Man or Dragon Ball Z. Like
that's
that's what you
crazy.
get to do with monk. I've actually watched a breakdown video on what the monk can do, and let me just say, while I am like happy with what I'm playing now, if I get another opportunity to play in another campaign, either after this one is over or perhaps another campaign even while this one is going on, I definitely want to try playing a monk because they have some cool shit.
Oh, absolutely.
Ooh.
Well, what about you? Do you have any characters that you're working on? Do you think this one's going to stick around with you for a while?
Um, I don't actually have any other characters made. This right now is the only character that I have created for this campaign, and I hope that it sticks around for a while because there are, of course, uh, several story beats and a significant character arc I would like to take her through. Um, so I hope that she sticks around to, I mean, at least until either I can finish um, my character's mission and fulfill the arc with her that I want to fulfill, or all the way up until the end of the campaign. If I end up surviving that long, which I hope, honestly I hope I do, because I don't want to just finish what my character set out to do and be like, all right, peace, kids, and be out. Um, I would like to take this character as far as possible. Not necessarily because I have any like uh, pre uh, predisposed like attachment to the character or anything sentimental about it. Really, it's just I made this character. I have an idea for what I want to do with her, and I want to be able to see it all through to the end. The primary reason why I had chosen Druid, though, um, at first I wasn't going to. At first I was going to be a life cleric, actually, because I knew I wanted to be a healer, and I knew from just like previous like research that I had done into the classes, like life cleric, just like flat, I think has the highest capacity for healing, but they also, I mean, of course, what? Um, well, in any case, if they don't have the highest capacity, they have one of the highest. At least that's what from what I've seen, from what they can do. Um, but I felt that the theme wasn't right for the character that for the type of character that I wanted to play. Um, so I started looking at other options. I had also considered what Delta is now playing, which is the Divine Soul Sorcerer. But I didn't like the idea of only being able to switch my spells
Every
whenever I
level,
leveled
yes.
up. Whenever I level up, that I was not gonna have any I was not gonna deal with that. I didn't want to have any part of that. So I was like, no sorcerer, probably ever, just because I don't want to deal with that mechanic specifically. I don't know if at some point down the road I find a good reason to play one, I might. But I was like, no. So sorcerer's a no go. Then I started looking at the druid, and at the time, I had only known the Circle of the Land and Circle of the Moon subclasses based on my experience playing it in Baldur's Gate 3, the new game that who is it
Oh,
that's making that again? The people who made Divinity Original Sin.
yeah.
Um, but in any case, I played some of that, and I knew of those two circles, but I didn't know about all the other ones, uh, like the circle. I believe it was Circle of Twilight, or maybe it was no. I don't think there was Circle of Twilight. I think there's Circle of Stars, Circle of Wildfire, Circle of Spores. Um, I believe there's one more. Oh, Circle of the Shepherd.
Shepherd
The Shepherd
druids,
Druid.
yeah.
Yeah.
Most overpowered swarm healers in the world.
Yeah. So, and I was considering Shepherd Druid for a bit when I was looking at their abilities, but I was sitting there thinking, I was like, not because I mean I know that's what Luna is playing uh, in Felwolf's campaign. So I was like,
Yeah.
well, I already kind of know what they can do. I've heard all about it, but I haven't heard anything about this Wildfire Druid. And so I was looking at that and looking at its abilities. I was like, oh, this is really good. Actually, it focuses. It doesn't just focus on healing or buffing. Rather, it's like the combat healer, I guess, in the sense where it
Mhm.
balances between fire magic and healing magic. And at first, I thought, I was like, okay, well, this is really cool, but I mean, fire's kind of strange for a druid. But I was like, no, wait, this actually works really well with my character. This actually will reflect her really well. Um, so I was like, actually, no, this is really good. So I'm gonna go with this. Um, A, because I hadn't seen it, I knew played anywhere before, and B, I felt it would fit really well with the kind of caster I wanted to play. I believe Fell had said he had seen it used once before, and he thought it was cool. So I was like, okay, I'll give this thing a shot since I haven't actually seen it in action yet. I'll see what I can do with it. And so far, I've been having a lot of fun with it. I enjoy having the wildfire spirit summon. I enjoy having certain fire spells baseline because the fire spells in this game, at least most of the ones that the druid has access to, I really enjoy. Shit like heat metal, the flaming sphere and the produce flame ability, which is basically like a better firebolt. It's basically a better wizard's firebolt, where they can just hold it in their hand as like a torch, and then they can also throw it with, I believe, it's a D8 instead of a D10 for damage. Because yeah, I think firebolt does a D10, doesn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
I think it depends on your depends on your level with the cantrips.
But in any case, having a like just a 1d8, damage cantrip that I can throw out, that was super cool. So I took that. Now originally, you guys don't know, I didn't take that. For my dumbass decided I was gonna take Control Flame instead, but with some.
Didn't read your spells, did you?
No, I didn't. Rather, I had read the spells. Okay. I'm gonna tell you this right now. When it came to choosing the spells I would have at the start of the campaign, I actually did think a lot about it. But I had thought, basically, I had overestimated the the amount of times I would be using Control Fire and Mold Earth. I thought I would be using a lot more than we did. And so far, I have only used Control Earth once, and it wasn't even in a fight. It was to stop Arya from walking away from me. That's all I've used it for thus far.
That's all it's ever used for. You're not gonna sit there and use it a lot in combat.
No, but it can create difficult terrain.
Oh, absolutely.
So that could be useful for a utility. It can create those pits, and we also, we considered using it to dig a hole outside of Oasis, to like a tunnel for us to go through to escape Oasis before we ever thought about trying to raid Khan's house.
Yeah, no,
which we didn't do.
I figured we were getting stonewalled on that one regardless, because for reasons.
For reasons, yeah.
For
reasons, Arch.
What do you mean for reasons?
For reasons that I'm not allowed to go into without your specific permission.
You
now drop it.
You guys as players don't understand, how walls work in the medieval era?
It's almost as if they were they're built into the ground.
Yeah, it's almost as if the work stone was placed deep within the ground to have things placed upon it.
It's almost as if they do that for like every wall.
Yeah.
That's ever been built.
Yeah.
You're good, Bit Jello. How are you, man? Also, sorry to hear about Friday. You having to work and all.
Sure, if you go deep enough, you could probably do it. But then again, we are trying to dig through sand and earth, so who knows how well that would go.
Yeah, who knows what's under the sand.
You can't see me, but I'm glaring at you really hard, Arch.
What? What do you mean glaring? Why? What did I say?
Oh yeah, who knows what's under the sand?
Who knows what's under the sand?
Who really knows?
Who knows, indeed.
I don't know who this individual is, but they can fuck right off.
It's on first base, didn't you know?
I don't play baseball.
Oh yeah.
That's that one where you got that metal stick and you hit the small little white ball.
Metal stick. Okay.
Right? That's that one.
Maybe.
Where you gotta shoot it into the basketball hoop. Yeah.
With a curved L stick, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. That's how you play baseball, right?
Absolutely, definitely.
You gotta make sure that you get all what, 9 yards? No, sorry, it's what?
You dribble.
Oh, you got to dribble it? Is that what you have to do? Oh, okay.
Maybe.
My son says you have to dribble it.
Dribble the baseball?
I don't know.
Yeah, we did have Miss
Ask him if you dribble a baseball.
Do you dribble a baseball? You dribble a baseball? Yeah, he says yeah, huh? Yeah.
Well, I mean, shit, he probably knows better than I do.
Most intelligent one here.
Dude, obviously, dude, he should be on this show. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Bunch of assholes.
Talking about a game. Pencil and
guess so.
paper.
Yeah, with a bunch of pencils and paper. Well, in this variation,
dice.
a lot of digital things.
A lot of
You
a lot of
eat your
pixels.
chicken parmesan.
Yo, chicken parm sounds really good.
Yeah, I made chicken parmesan.
Does he
Oh, good.
not know you made food? What the heck?
He does know I made food. He's just being ornery because he doesn't want to have to sit there and chew the chicken. Get up back here, sit down and eat.
This is peak content. Hearing Arch yell at his kid.
Boy, sit down.
Parenting. Like Kratos.
What?
Yep. Literally
Boy.
calls him
It's
boy.
not too hot. Sit down.
Boy.
No, something. I ate something.
No, it's not. Trust me. Sit down. No, sit down. The moment you're breathing fire is when you can go and get water.
Damn.
Oh.
The only reason why your face is red right now is because you've been like grape feeding yourself the giant pasta noodles. You can
Great
sit down.
feeding.
You know, like tilting your head back and dropping the grape in there on the vine. That whole bit, like, yes.
Feed me, Marcius. Feed me.
Sit down.
Yes.
3,
Execute
2,
him.
1.
Execute him. That just makes me think of unacceptable.
Oh, lemon grab. Ugh.
Yeah.
Alright.
I
So-
Do
don't
you have any
know
questions,
that-
Arch?
Yes, I have questions.
All right,
Like,
ask
why?
Because I don't have answers.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't have the question to my why.
No,
All
I
right.
don't.
So,
Yes.
it's been 2 episodes since we've sat down for one of these, and I don't know which one of you was the last one on here.
Not me.
I don't know.
Oh, I bet you know
It's been a past 2 weeks, man.
Mhm.
So we've had 2 episodes since, one kind of a one shot, somewhat related to what's going on.
Are you
And the
calling
other
me
one-
out? Because I've been one shot a few times.
I mean, if that's how you want to take it, sure. Yes, unacceptable condition, unacceptable Yami.
Yami knows.
Let's go ahead and sit there and say that the time that you guys left Oasis and walked through the desert for the period of those couple of weeks. We'll touch on that before going all the way to before going backwards far enough for the con situation. When you guys encountered the Anubai, and you had the 2 of them there, were you guys thinking that you were gonna have to jump like the Anubai, like you have to fight them right there in the desert, just the 2 of them?
I'm gonna let you answer that first, Faz, because I know my response. I'm curious about yours.
So, my first reaction to hearing that there were a Nubai there. Now, it never crossed my mind that there would be more hiding in the sand, but it also never crossed my mind that we should just outright fight them then and there. I'd be like, okay, well, if these are the Anubai, I've heard Shadow talk about them before. Let's get Shadow and see if he can like talk with them. You know, I mean, I say talk in quotations because he just drew letters in the sand. But that was my original thought was to do that. I mean, that's what happened, and it seems to work out pretty well. But what about you? What about you, Melody?
Oh, I knew right away that good times were going to be had. See, I'm under the impression that not a lot of people are on relatively good terms with Shadow, but like he also generally like doesn't pick up on that. That's not something he'll realize until something happens about it. But I'm getting off track. He realized immediately that he was like, all right, we need to approach this situation with subtlety. So he understood a little bit of the writing was like, okay, let us show that we are non-threatening. So it was either something or friends, I believe. So he wrote in Anubai the script for friend or friends in in the sand, as to make them non-hostile, essentially. So after that, we just essentially followed them to wherever they were going to take us, and well, I think we got the best outcome out of it
Probably,
because we
considering
got some information and a ride on a giant, well,
Cobra.
snake that I thought was awesome.
I loved the irony of it.
Oh man.
That
I
was
will say one thing, Arch. You
Mhm.
know how to paranoid me. If the ground starts shaking, get off the snake and run.
Yeah.
Dude, you sent shivers down my spine.
I was
I
like-
knew something was wrong when you said that. I don't like that. And
I
you
was-
know how to goat me.
I was thinking about that,
It
and
was
I'm
just
like,
fair
great.
warning.
I was
Apt.
thinking about that.
Very
and
apt.
I was just like, great. We're probably gonna end up having to run from some giant fucking monster. Amazing.
Maybe one of these days you'll learn.
I don't think I want to learn.
Oh,
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. I really like that, especially the whole like young like queen thing.
Yeah.
That was good. I liked that a lot.
the Pharaoh?
Yeah,
I
the
still
young pharaoh.
I still think there's something weird going on with her. Mark my words. This ain't the last we've seen of her.
No, we'll see her again. I think
Well-
there is definitely going to be something cool to that.
We'll go ahead and begin to push forward from that point. So you guys and your experience with the young pharaoh
Hmm.
and the the attendee and the guardian, as he was referenced. Spaz, you had weird feelings about that entire situation.
Said half.
Well, why?
I did.
Half.
It was less so the attendant and the guardian themselves. I mean, sure, the guardian was intimidating, but I don't know. It's like I've seen you. I know this is a little bit meta, but I've seen you act as children before in D&D. I generally get and have an understanding of like what you do when you act as them, and I generally have. At least I like to think I have a good grasp on how children generally act. I don't know. It was the level of, I guess, I want to say like spacing out that she did, and like struggling to recall things that she had just heard. That's what threw me off, because it was when Arya said, let's give you a show, like, and then literally 5 seconds later, the kid was like struggling to remember that word. I'm like, what?
So,
like, okay.
if I can explain, he actually did mention from the I forget his job title, but the one that spoke really good common that was there with the Anubai, he did say that the pharaoh, or whatever he had called her, had very limited common that they spoke, so they were probably trying to sit there and translate it, let alone their age was probably hard for them. So they're learning multiple languages, and that's probably not easy as a child.
That could also be it. I'm not like throwing that out.
Okay.
It's just I don't
Well,
know.
we have your reasons.
I did like consider that as a possibility. I don't know. It could just be a kid being a kid and struggling with multiple languages. That's definitely a possibility. I just don't know why there's this feeling in my gut that like something else is off.
All right, so we have the understanding about like the things that showed to you at least why it was off. What is the I'll reference you for this point. What is that the tinfoil hat thought that you have for this? Like what is the thing that keeps coming to mind whenever you're thinking about how this is off? Like what is the picture in your head for it?
Honestly, I don't know. At first, like I was saying before, when I had asked to make the check, I thought for I don't know. I guess for some reason in my head, I was thinking, is there something like behaviorally off with her? Is there like something like mental going on? But I mean, I didn't want to assume too much. I just wanted to make the check and see, um, if my character would actually notice something, which she didn't. So uh, I'm willing to leave it alone for now, unless something comes up again, or there's something else to like re to reopen that like line of inquiry in my head. But for now, I'm content to leave well enough alone, considering that we're not there anymore, and it won't have consequence on, or what we do won't have like any like consequence as to what's happening over there for some time, I imagine.
All right.
Um, as for what I think it could be, I don't know. I haven't thought too hard on it since then. When I made the check, you said it seems to just be a child acting like a child, and so I said, okay, and then I moved on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I say moved on, but like I said, there's still like something eating at the back of my head. I don't know.
We'll go ahead and move to something that I'm guessing you didn't realize at the end of the last episode or the last Saturday.
Oh God, here we go.
You were all in that maze and whatnot.
Yep.
And then when you finally came out after defeating some sort of monster, you were all told that you were in the desert.
Yeah.
You would remember this spot, as this was a spot that you woke up and then encountered the Anubai. You're 2 weeks back to the last place you were 2 weeks ago.
Oh. When you had said that we were back, I thought you had said that we were like back at the last stop on the snake ride before we actually got to
No, you would know that the location which that you woke up was, you were in the same position with all the same gear from what you would recall as 2 weeks ago.
Oh. That
That clarifies. Okay.
that changes things.
This has been fact checked by verified fact checkers.
That was the intended statement of you were back in the desert.
Yeah, Bell wasn't entirely clear on that point.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
So who knows what lays in front of you now?
Gotta be fucking kidding me, dude. So, I guess we'll find out.
I guess you'll
next
find
time.
out on
Don't
Saturday.
get triggered too soon. You know, we still have a bit of this.
That's why I
one
said
left.
get ready for your
See,
tinfoil hat
See what
bit.
you've done. See what you've done here is you haven't triggered me, but you caused my mind to go into a place where I'm like, okay, have we been just physically sent back, or has time rewound? Are we back at that specific point? Has this entire point from meeting the Anubai up to the point where we got to the cherry blossom pass? Was that real, or was that all a dream? So now I'm saying that's what I'll find out next session, is whether or not that was even all real.
Whether or not. But we'll rewind from that point a little bit further to the start of when you guys met Khan. So I think I asked this once before what everybody thought of Khan. and how? What do you guys think? Team Epic Z, get out of here with that yammy. What did you guys? How do you guys think that the fight with Khan went?
Good
don't
as
know.
it could have gone.
I was
Basically.
unconscious most of the time. I got a
As-
single shot on him. That was it.
It went better than I thought it would. I thought that if we ended up fighting him, we would be down in like the first couple of rounds. Honestly, I didn't expect us to go as long as we did for like what was it like just like 7 rounds of combat. Which I mean, I guess it felt really long because just that entire like set of that entire fight just like actually took a while for us, like doing our moves and having shit explained and all that. It felt like a long time, and in reality I think it was like only 7 turns, like 6 or 7 turns of combat. It was just there was a lot going on each turn, so it
Almost
felt
a
like
minute.
a lot.
Yeah. If that, probably more. But I figured that all of you guys were like, you were wondering if that was gonna be Nags, and I told you guys. But I do believe Mike Drop was able to do a good job at portraying
Yes.
Khan.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he was good at playing the condescending evil money grubber.
He said condescending.
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 Oh, shut the fuck up! I did not even pun unintended, by the way. Good God.
By the way.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Where's your tail? I'm gonna put you back on it. Put it back on you so I can cut it off again.
I don't know.
Jesus.
I'd like to know. I don't know where it is.
I'd like to know the answer to that question myself. Yeah, in any case, Khan's an asshole. Just like through and through, he's an asshole. And Mike played that perfectly. Not any slight towards Mike, just that Mike did it really well.
Yeah, he had like 1 week to kind of get in the mindset for that, because it was the previous week, or I think that actual Sunday.
I find it funny.
I had to get somebody new to play that character.
Yeah, I find it funny though that after that session, Mike was like flabbergasted with us. He's like, come on guys, like the first session I do with you guys, literally our first encounter, and you decide you're just gonna fight me. Like what? I'm like, dude, you don't understand. If you had seen the shit that we had seen and understood like what we do about Khan, you wouldn't want to deal with this motherfucker either. Trust me on that.
Mhm.
Especially after the kind of bullshit that he tried to pull with us. Absolutely not.
I'm just glad it was Khan and not one of the others. Let me just be honest there.
Yeah, I'll count our blessings, but still, he's an
You better
asshole.
thank your ass it wasn't one of the others. Khan was one of the better choices.
It doesn't make him any less of an asshole.
Yeah, that may be true. It may not be true.
I swear, if you're gonna pull some shit out of your ass and be like, "Oh, Khan is actually this whatever the hell,"
yeah,
and not actually as
Khan's
bad as he
King
seems.
Whitewater. Yeah, definitely.
Actually,
No,
yeah, dude, I'm
no.
actually gonna rage quit if you do that
There's
shit.
the possibility. I mean, you don't know.
Don't even
No.
start with that.
Out of the last episodes, or out of the story so far, out of the characters you've all encountered, other than the players, who is it that you either wish to see more if you ever return to Oasis, or who is it that has intrigued you the most so far?
Hawk, without a doubt. At least for me and my character, Hawk intrigues me the most. Because he knows way more than I believe that he probably should about each of us. and then way more than he's actually letting on. Considering what he had said about Arya, about Albert, which to my knowledge have no previous experience with this character, considering that Arya has been traveling with Felwolf, and Felwolf has never met this man before, so I'm assuming she hasn't either. And then Albert, I don't know a damn thing about Albert, but I'm also going to assume that he hasn't met Hawk before, and wouldn't have a reason to, but I don't know. I won't know until unless that's ever brought up. But also, I also find Hawk, while he has more basic, I guess I wouldn't call it condescending. I would call him more so, I guess, confident in his words and in his actions. Like, he seems to not care much about the danger other people might present to him, and that intrigues me, because he seems to have some kind of, like, I guess what you would call business relationship with the bosses of Oasis, but he doesn't seem to like them or respect them really. In fact, it's the other way around. It would seem based on Khan's reaction to him that they fear and respect him to an extent. So that's what intrigues me, is that Khan knows more about us, or no, excuse me, Hawk knows way more about us than Khan ever did. Khan doesn't even know who we are, but Hawk knows at least a few of us and a bit about us, which has me a tad concerned and also frustrated.
I can see that.
Understandable.
With
Yeah.
his ability to learn how, or a couple of you guys, and which he's shown to have either no connection with, what information he was able to gather in 2 days of knowing of your existence.
Yeah, assuming that's as long as he's known of us. Assuming that the first time we actually met was the first session, or assuming that would be the first that he ever knew of us.
Assuming. What about you, Melody?
You and I have talked a little bit about this pre-campaign. But I would say in the story, if we do ever head back to the sands, I want to learn more about this rat individual. Due to the
Hunts rat.
fact of personal distaste with this character, and knowing Shadow, who he is, this character has posed himself as not only a threat to him and his loved ones, but a threat to the city for various reasons. And this would probably be one of those ones that he would want to deal with first and foremost.
Okay.
But that's definitely one of the NPCs I am super interested in. The other one that I would say even remotely comes close is the one we know very little about and only rumors of. This elusive, what did you call him? Essentially the head of that city.
Oh, the Sultan?
The Sultan, this elusive Sultan that nobody has seen for many a time.
It's a dragon. I guarantee it's a dragon. Anytime
No.
there's anytime there's a leader that
Calm
isn't
down
seen,
with your tinfoil hat there.
anytime there's a leader. No, I got a point here. Listen, anytime that there is like a mysterious leader that nobody seems to see, it's 9 times out of 10 it's a dragon or some mythical creature that like the people wouldn't, take as their leader because they're some fucking creature and not, a mortal. 9 times out of 10.
I think you failed to recognize that within Dungeons and Dragons, most dragons, or some dragons, have the ability to shapeshift into humanoids.
No, I remember that. I remember.
That's true. They can do that.
So it would be pointless for them to put suspicion on their position of power in any regard.
That is also a fair point.
Now, if you're gonna tinfoil hat this, a really good, logical thing like that might be he's a lich.
Could be.
If you really want to go and stretch
That's why
it
I
that
said.
far.
That's why I said. You're not even just a dragon, but some other mythical creature. I did say that. Doesn't have to be a dragon. It's not always dragons.
We are in Archlord's territory.
I
Watch
mean,
out for the
Who
undead.
knows? Maybe Hawk's a dragon.
Fucking could be, for all we know.
Could
Fucking
be.
Dragon Hawk. Yeah, I could see it.
Dragon Hawk. No, wait, but dragon.
Now there,
Oh.
that pause with the tinfoil hat clicking.
You broke him. You broke him.
You want to tell us what
no.
you just thought there, real quick, Spence?
Oh god, it's
You
so
broke him.
stupid. But you saying Dragon Hawk fucked me up. Now this is definitely an out of character thought, because I don't know, because Eloria doesn't know the name of Felwolf's dad. But Felwolf's dad's name, I'm pretty sure, is Dragonhawk, correct? Am I right on that?
I can't 100% confirm that.
I think it's
I am
Dragon-
unsure.
I think
But
it's
it's
like
close to that.
No.
His name was mentioned and to the party in your entirety. And he did say his father was called Dragonhawk.
Dragonhawk.
Hmm.
See, now I'm thinking. Now I'm thinking that Hawk's choice of alias ain't no coincidence. But I feel like Fel would have recognized his father's voice, so that throws me off. Unless he, for some reason, is able to use an unfamiliar voice, but
You'd be surprised.
I mean, all we know about Hawk is that, at least concerning Fel's dad, is that he allegedly traveled with him for a time and taught his father this paralyzing technique.
Mm. You know, Shadow knows a lot about Hawk. As it was stated, apparently, Hawk was his master. You know,
Yes.
episode 1. The
Yes.
one we don't
Well,
have recorded.
I also
lost
remember that.
time.
And I also remember that, which means the one to ask would be Shadow. I know. I mean, I know I'm probably wrong, but but that fucking flew into my head out of nowhere. So, right now that's sitting there.
You know, I think there's only possibly one character who's actually talked to Shadow out of just talking to him instead of asking him for something or asking him about something for information. I don't think you guys really talk to Shadow often.
We do. I've talked to you.
There's
Just
been
the-
very little time to talk.
Exactly.
thing.
Outside of like what's actually like happening to us and going on, like the next objective that we need to fulfill, there hasn't been a whole lot to talk about. The little moments that we've had, like that we've had to actually talk about shit, I've primarily usurped into talking about the Black Citadel. Like the downtime we had when we had stopped, in our dream sequence. I'm gonna call it that. Our fucking real, not real. Time
Oh, dude, that was a
by-
whole arc.
passing through the here's the thing though about that about using that as a dream sequence is that Arya and myself spoke at length about the Black Citadel. If it was a dream sequence, either we would all have to be experiencing the same dream, and we would all have to be on unaware of it. So if we were all sharing that dream, that would make sense because I'm assuming what Arya told me that she had saw in the Citadel was true about the Dryad and everything. And you Melody telling me about the Anubai being older, or rather more ancient, or rather existing in the time before the Sands came to the Badlands. I'm assuming that's all true. So,
Well, one good thing you might be able to add to your list of things is we haven't had to do a roll for history as of yet.
true.
So, it might still be relevant.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's all just a bad fever dream.
Yep. And there's also the point that when you guys woke up, you had those extra health potions.
True. Which
Who
means it is
knows?
something that it could be something that actually happened, or at least some portion of it actually happened in whatever dimension we got pulled into.
As a player, I would say be careful of those. You might grow polka dots on your skin. Never trust the god of fate.
Are you fucking kidding me? Please tell me. Okay, this is a story.
I'm mostly
need to hear this.
joking. Mostly joking.
But there's a story behind that, and I want to hear it.
So periodically, whenever we needed a one shot for any campaign that we ever played,
Ooh.
and like
Tell
when
a
we
story
played
of
in person-
Leon. Oh my god, please.
No, that relates to the setting that you guys are in. So whenever we needed a one shot done, we kind of just were like, all right, what's the excuse we're gonna use this time? Well, fuck it. We the first time was the God of Fate, essentially messing with people in their dreams, making them fight each other, see who was the strongest. And then from that point on, we just used the God of Fate to be continuously toying with people who are either like adventurers, always attempt to change their fate, or to be the fated one to do certain things. And so the God of Fate would more than likely have their attention on an individual like that. So that was our excuse of using the God of Fate. But we wanted a God of Fate that everything that they would put the adventurers or the characters in the campaign, whenever they would show up, it would be an inconvenience. So what would be the best way to portray a god that doesn't care if they inconvenience people? And so the God of Fate and his personality, or their personality, was born. So, the God of
Basically,
Fate
he's a McMuffin.
The God of Fate is somewhat of a McMuffin, but that's the wrong use of McMuffin. A McMuffin is an object, normally placed for plot convenience.
Oh, we're talking about MacGuffins again?
Yes.
Good God.
Wait. Okay, this is something you guys have talked about before.
No, I've been having a chat with my campaign members about this esteemed MacGuffin everybody is all just conspiracy theorying about.
in your nautical campaign.
Yeah. Everybody's
no.
on a tangent about a MacGuffin. I'm like, look, I'm just trying to write lore. Y'all need to calm down.
Yeah,
Y'all only
need to
level
chill.
2.
You only level 2. You need to chill.
Yeah, all I know is that Spaz has so many theories for this campaign, where Felwolf and Melody have their experiences and their worries about what may have stayed. When
I have trauma because of you.
that could get
I
treated.
can't even regress this trauma. It's just there.
Why did you volunteer to play in this campaign then if you're traumatized by it before?
Because I had some good times.
Because he wants to actually play this campaign. Because he prefers...
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It just fucked me up.
Yeah. There are many times, actually, where I tried testing out how certain combat things could work. Like, what kind of a scale can I make combat function in?
Oh, no.
Where it, like, for 3 weeks, so 3 sessions. They were constantly stressed. They were talking out of the session about plans and ideas and strategies. And at the end of every 8-hour session, everybody was so drained. People didn't want to climb the staircase to get out of the dungeon basement. Some people were just like, they were just drinking at the table because there's no other way to deal with the stress.
No.
Yeah, that's how bad it got. And
I was literally yelling at another player in role play because he wanted to leave. And I was physically pissed trying to argue with this stubborn individual to get him to stay.
Yeah. I literally
The life
strained
cleric
my
was
players.
scolding him.
Yep. I physically strained the players to the point where they felt like the characters in that situation.
Dude, look, the entire reason I want to play, I'm playing D&D in the first place was to like immerse myself in a character I create and in this world. You can't come telling me this only after 5 sessions that oh yeah, by the way, you're gonna, whether you like it or not, you are going to be too in tune with your character to avoid the trauma you're going to endure.
Oh yeah,
and I'm just going to be over here.
That's the one thing I prize myself on, is getting players to full-heartedly connect to their characters. It was hard with Mel because Mel kept switching up characters during that time. But there was a couple in which he tuned into. I would say Felwolf connected deeply with one, and that man, I swear, he had to be losing hair at session 20 maybe. He was pulling out hair left and right.
He had an answer for your bullshit. You just came out with another bullshit card, and he's like, God fucking damn it!
I'll describe it because you guys are not going to be able to achieve such a feat. There was a point
God.
where he did an Unearthed Arcana Artificer that I allowed. Because I was like, you know what, whatever, let's pull the full stops, let's test the entire thing. He made essentially enough little mechanical birds that could cast Firebolt, over 5 to 10,000 of them, somewhere around that.
Oh my god.
And during this sequence, and I had an answer to that, and he's just like, excuse me, and I'm like, yeah. And it just stressed him out more. Dropped a city from the sky. I think multiple players would have died. I know multiple characters did die. But yeah, it was very hectic, and it was like the second arc.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I think that particular arc was one of the more stressful scenarios we ever got into, and that was just political bullshit that we got caught into. And
no, you're talking about the third arc.
No, I'm not.
The political one was the third arc.
Getting caught into that war, that political war between the two factions, that sucked. That fucking sucked. And that was just nothing but stress.
In my opinion, there's hardly any politics involved. You mean you were stressed because you were placed in a position of responsibility during it.
Your actions have consequences.
Well,
we had nothing to do with that war other than the fact that we were there and we got kind of conscripted to help.
Yep.
It had nothing to do with it. It's political nonsense to us because this party wants them dead for AQ reasons. This party wants them to not be alive anymore for BZ reasons. And we're in the middle of it.
The third arc, I do recall that. The one that was most stressed out was Fel.
I hated that
was less
because I had a hand in that shit too.
That was less of my doing and more of you guys.
That was a me doing. That was a me oopsie.
Yeah.
fuck.
There's a whole bunch of things that happened.
Lawful stupid.
Yeah.
Awful stupid.
But currently, if we pull back into Oasis and the Anubai, let's go ahead and touch back with them. One character that you guys somewhat met a little bit, other than the Sphinx, not the Pharaoh, sorry, and the
We met a Sphinx? Damn,
no.
when?
What the hell?
The thought that went through my mind was cat, and then I just said Sphinx. And I was like, no, Pharaoh.
Understandable.
And so the Pharaoh and the attendant, you had the Guardian, the one that was fucking mean mugging you the entire time.
Death dagger eyes.
Yeah, if you could take stare damage, you would have.
Five damage.
What were some of your guys' opinions on him and him being your chauffeur?
Oh, I thought that was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it was funny.
I loved that we had such a serious guardian with us. Like, that would have actually made Shadow feel a little safer. But under the whole thing of, you know, if it came down to it, he probably would have just saved his ass in the fucking snake and just went about his way and fucking ditched the rest of us.
Yeah, may or may not have happened.
Yeah.
I'd have rather have had Set with us, honestly. At least then we could fucking talk about something on the way instead of just silence.
I like how nobody began to ask any questions about that guy.
Well, we were kind of predetermined with whether or not this fucking Guardian would kill us if we failed to entertain his Pharaoh, so you know, there's that.
We could touch more on Saturday. All right, we'll move away from the story itself a bit and move more towards your guys' characters. Because I'm pretty sure nobody has actually asked the question. More along the lines of jokingly try to trigger the other players, not just you, Spaz. This question has been asked as more of like a push for an extreme response. But
hey,
for your guys' characters, Eloria and Shadow, I know that they're both kind of those social awkwardies in the group. And some of the other players, or even some of the characters at some point have mentioned that they either have friends or someone that they care about or anything like that. Do either one of your characters either have plans or have somebody, or do you as a player think that a romance for either NPC or begrudgingly, I know for you two, maybe even another player, do you think any of those are on the table?
That's a really good one.
Well, we'll start with you, Spence.
A question that I have actually posed to myself quite a few times over the course of this campaign, and even before the campaign even started, it was something I had thought about. And I feel it is more, I'm not going to say which character, but I feel like it is more likely for Eloria to, at some point down the road, develop feelings for one of the other party members than it would be for an NPC character. Simply because of the way that she is, the way that, as she is now, she views connections with people. Because I mean, you will know, Sis Arch, that as she is, she does not. What's a good way to word this? She has issues.
She doesn't open up easy.
Right, she has issues with attaching to other people. She does not see it as conducive to her mental well-being. Is how I will put that. is something that she would rather avoid, and why, rather avoid, and why she was so perplexed. I mean, you can like as it's stated in my character trailer, it's why she's so perplexed at the idea that she um, was upset by the possible harming of Zach uh, during session 0, or after session 0, and during session 1. Um, she doesn't know the reason why yet, why that bugged her so much, or why during the fight with Khan, um, that she even entertained the idea of trading with him in order uh, to preserve the lives of the others, when Felwolf was uh, so set in either we fight this until we're dead, uh, or it's nothing. Like he said, it was victory or death for him. And when she had suggested to Fel for them to basically lay down their arms and shoot with him, that, and I had told Fel this out of character, that it was and it was something out of character for her to do. It was not uh, she was not in her right mind in that moment because of the uh, the idea, or rather the desire coming from out of nowhere for her to basically not want to watch these people die, even though she barely knew them, um, and including Felwolf. But when Felwolf had said what he did to Eloria, basically laying out the reality of the situation that they were in, or at least what he believed the reality of the situation to be, it put her back into the mindset that she had before, and again she set that emotion aside, or rather that desire aside, and basically decided, you know what, yeah, death would be better than whatever alternative, if we do end up dying here, despite her own desires to see her own personal ambitions realized. um, she agreed with Fel in that moment, and so decided to keep on pushing until she hit the ground. Um, but like I said, as far as that being put onto the table, um, that kind of being explained, I still believe, uh, or rather, I still hope that at some point down the road, a a more intimate connection to one or all of the party members. And by intimate, I don't mean like strictly romantic. I mean like actually forming a bond with the other party members. Um, I hope that that's something that uh, I get to explore more of in the future.
All right.
Mm.
And what about Shadow or you, Mel?
Well, I've always played Shadow kind of close to my chest in terms of his feelings generally are my feelings. However, with this character, as you've played with him before, you don't really know if he has a certain type or attraction or something he's looking for, as I haven't even found that out yet. I've thought about it many a times, but I've literally drawn a blank so many times with him. I just feel like if there is a scenario that might just make it click, be it an interaction with an NPC, be it an interaction with a player, I'm probably just gonna go with it. I might just go with it, honestly. But to answer your question, I've thought about it, but to no avail with him. Um, he's always been a one for protecting his friends and treating his friends as family. But as a love interest, that would be something entirely new to him, as he is, in my belief, probably never thought about it once in his life.
Oh
So,
my god.
That
He's
is.
actually here late as hell.
I'm not late because I said I wasn't gonna be here.
Talk about love interests.
What? Oh yeah. What's up, Saz? How you doing?
Listen, it's too early for this.
You looking like
What
a
do you mean
snack?
it's too early? It's been an hour, almost an hour and a half in the stream.
No, I mean too early in the campaign for this.
Oh, okay. Okay, too early in the campaign.
That's not gonna happen. So
Yeah, that's not a no. That's there's a maybe.
I already told you that romance for my character is a possibility down the road. Of course, depending on exactly how my character's personal story unfolds.
Mm.
Yeah. We all know Yami though wants to be the romance option. Ain't that right, Yami?
Oh yeah.
Don't fucking start. I don't need this.
Yeah. Yeah, Yami wants to be everybody's romance option.
That's true, actually.
What?
Wait, what? What? He
Oh
says?
my goodness.
I can hear him now going, what?
You can just join the big Papa Fell fan club. It's like
Yeah, no, we're not doing Papa Fell. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. In that moment when Delta had said that, he said, "Who's your?" It's like, "You got a new daddy now." Not only in character, but out of character, I was like, "Fuck you! I am not dealing with this right now. Calling me mommy was bad enough, but you don't get to call Fel daddy. We are not going to be the parents of this group."
He's like, leave me out of this, dude.
Just here for the show, bro. Leave me out of this.
I'm not.
So what questions have I missed so far?
Who so far has been either your favorite NPC or somebody you want to know more about? Conspiracy theories. What was your first D&D campaign that you've ever played in or session? You if you want one, just say the question and then answer it. Out of those,
Well, out of all those thus far, I probably have the most interesting first campaign.
I think that we've discussed this one before with you.
I think we have.
It is not a campaign that was supposed to be for beginners, and I did not know this. And so for my first ever campaign, it was a real life campaign. And so I go over to the DM's house. I'm there with all the other players, which there's like 6. And, I got my character. I'm playing I'm actually playing technically 2 characters because this is such a big campaign. I'm playing a half-orc ranger, and I'm playing I believe it's a high elf wizard.
Gross.
And
continue.
The campaign was Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
For my first ever campaign. And this is a campaign that was from one of the earlier editions too. And he had repurposed it for 5th. And this campaign had so many choices, and it was a time-locked one. So as you did something, time progressed, and other options would be locked out. And so it had kind of like a Mass Effect feel where your choices in the end, depending on which choices you made, gave you an ending.
As long as it wasn't Mass Effect 3.
We kind of turned it into that, but what in this campaign was so convolutedly deep that if I would have said it like it was a pie, there's 13 layers to this pie.
Christ.
Yeah, it was like it had so much shit you could do in a single day that you got to pick one fucking thing as a person or a group, depending on how risky you wanted to be, and then all the rest of them were locked out. Like, it was super in depth. But one of my favorite moments was in this campaign. I was crawling through the sewers trying to go after like the Rogues Guild, I will do what I want. Thank you. I'm going after this Rogues Guild, and I see that there's this open room, and I'm way past where the Thieves Guild operates, and I just don't know it. And in this open room, there's this giant hole in the floor. And so I throw like a torch down it. Never see the torch hit the bottom. The light just eventually fades. And I'm like, yeah, Jeff, not going down there, no way. But what's appealing to me is I see this floating orb in the middle of this gaping hole, like 15 feet above this hole, centered on it. And there's this orb. So I have my wizard cast the web spell, pull this sumbitch over, and this is the first time, like I said, it's my first campaign, but this is me going through my wizard. And I am lucky enough to have picked a spell to know at the time that just so happens to be one of the most broken spells that there is in 5th edition. And if most people don't know about this spell, I am surprised. I remember first time I introduced Arch to this spell after I used it in this situation, his jaw basically dropped. Because I explained to him how broken this spell could be. So my wizard does a history check to find out what this orb is. And I see that I find out that this orb is like an orb for a ancient wizard that's like long dead, and it's attunement based. And so I'm like, okay. So what I do is I use the 2nd level spell, Nistel's Magic Aura. I'm like, I persuade the magic item, I am the wizard, and I'm attuned to it. Because that's technically something you can do with the effects of Nistel's Magic Aura. You can take on the aura of another creature. This includes the whole attunement process. And so it works. And I fucking have this orb, and so I use the orb to find out this is basically a Trojan horse. There's a whole mansion that you can self-design and auto-articulates. It has unseen servants, and time passes normally. And I'm like, dude, and there's like food, there's everything. It's like self-sufficient orb.
That's
like badass wizard house.
Yeah, that reminds me. That's basically like in item form a spell that I know about. I think that the bard can get. I forget what it's called, but it was like basically exactly that. You could open up a door to this mansion that had servants and food in there and whatnot, and you could stay there. It lasted for like 24 hours, I think, before it faded and kicked everybody out. But yeah,
there was no cooldown
awesome
on this orb. Basically, you stayed in there however long you want, and so we ended up using this to basically transport the party in secret.
Nice.
But short story, to shorten my story a little bit, I hated Baldur's Gate with a burning passion. That city was just corrupted to its core. Not a single person, not even the religious leaders of the city were good in any fashion. And so I burned the entire city down.
Nice.
With a tidal wave. No, I didn't burn it. I just basically tsunami'd the fucking thing. Yeah. Oh my god. There was not a single good person in that city.
All
like
you did was pollute the water.
Yeah, bruh. Every time you turn around in that campaign, you're getting screwed over by somebody. Somebody has double crossed you, triple crossed you, attempted to assassinate you, killed the one good person that was in the city, or it was just bad. It was just bad.
So basically Oasis.
Oh no, like there's no way.
Oh man, did you never play Baldur's Gate 1 or 2?
No.
Like Dark Alliance?
I played Dark Alliance. I played Dark Alliance.
Boy, let me tell you.
That was bad. That's back in the day, man. That's PS2 era, my guy.
Bruh, no.
There is over like 300 hours of gameplay and optional dialogue, and that particular nonsense is what he went through essentially.
Yeah. I think the second coolest thing is I robbed Baldur's Gate's main bank. Straight up robbed it. Like, nice. I got 50,000 platinum, a whole bunch of the gold, and I transported it I think it was like via like some sort of like a bag of holding or some shit. But anyway, I basically, like I said, I used that orb fantastically. Me and one other person basically robbed that bank. Got away with it scot-free too, because like I said, every single person in that group ended up hating Baldur's Gate. And when I put the idea forward to just erase the city, everybody voted for it. That is how bad everybody hated Baldur's Gate by the time we're done with it. Now, the only other downside I would say about that campaign was when we first went into it, day one, there was a player death. Day one.
Damn.
Not even kidding. It was player death by other player.
Oh, wow.
So this is the first day.
Oh, no.
We go in a city, and we find out a new law is passed. If you're challenged to a duel, you have to accept it, or basically it's a death penalty. And so the first thing we see is this nobleman challenge an 8-year-old to a duel. Of course, the 8-year-old is forced to comply and immediately is killed. Basically, it was a washout match. This ends up pissing off the team's barbarian to the point where they beat this nobleman in public in the middle of the street, and that pisses off the team paladin because lawful stupid. And so the paladin attacks the barbarian. However, ready for combo number 3, the barbarian is the arena partner of the monk, who's a ranged assassin.
Uh-huh.
And so the monk ends up picking up their bow, going to the rooftop, draws their bow, which, by the way, is a magic bow that they did shoplift. They shoot said magic bow and crit the paladin. This proceeds to kill the paladin instantaneously because this bow that the monk had shoplifted was the oath bow. And you know what the fuck that means. That means ouch. And so another reason why everybody hated this campaign is not the fact that this very annoying paladin died, but the fact that the DM had chose to make this paladin the end boss. So the religious sector brought this paladin back to life, gave him like shitloads of legendaries beyond normal capacity to attune, a magical unicorn that serves him, and this dude was our end boss.
All right, say that one more time.
What do you mean?
Sorry, my dad's fucking texting me. Say that one more time.
Basically, they made the religious sector made the dead paladin. They resurrected him, brought him back to life, gave him a whole bunch of legendaries, past his point to mortally attune, and so he was attuned to allowed to attune to like 5 or 6 different legendaries. Gave him a magical unicorn that this individual can command and have fight by his side, and that was our end boss. Needless to say, we never beat the end boss. We just chose to basically purge the city, because it basically came down to the monk and the paladin, which was like, oh, you can fly fast, but I'm also a flying monk, and I got key points, so double finger defense. And so there was this race off. The paladin kept trying to kill the monk because the monk's the one that killed him, whereas the rest of the party basically just destroyed the city.
Jesus.
Yeah, that is honestly the DM's fault, because this individual was given free reign to pick what legendaries they wanted without the DM actually overlooking everything, because the DM had confidence this person would not try to break their campaign. But this person was so butthurt that his lawful stupid paladin got killed off in the most ironic of ways that he basically just ruined the campaign's ending. That was my first campaign. Which lasted a year, by the way.
Damn.
Yeah.
That is one hell of a first campaign.
Yeah. What was the other questions?
Your favorite NPC from the current campaign? From the
My favorite
previous
NPC so far has not been shown, and probably won't be shown.
Oh, okay. So,
and-
what is your who is it that you have seen so far that you would say is probably the top out of everybody you've seen, or at least either heard about?
Well, that's what I'm saying is I've seen them. They're technically still in the city we came from, but they're stuck there, and nobody else has seen them aside from maybe Arya.
Oh, you're talking about your session 0.
Yeah, I have no love for any other NPCs. So.
Okay. As a player, is there any NPC that that you're either interested in learning more about at some point, or any that kind of just seem to spark any kind of anything, I guess? No one that stands out and to you as a player?
Give me one moment, guys.
Not
I'm
really.
gonna dip out for a second.
I
Like
never
5
was.
minutes.
Okay.
I never was a fan of, number one. A lot of what we've done so far has been either like desert related, or like Egyptian related content, or even like while we were in the city, roguey content. Never was a fan of any of that, honestly. And the whole well, you're gonna do this mission and I'll get you way out. I was like, well, okay, sure. But as I've stated with this character, like when we came across that decision with Mic Drop, that that fight was inevitable because my character was built around trying to help people, and this city is just a cancer. And as a matter of fact, my favorite NPC so far is stuck in that city because of the way it runs. For the exact same reason he gave Mike Drop's character, Khan, that he would work for him. He's just like, I'm not going to be a slave. Not going to happen. You can say, well, you're not in shackles, but yeah, I'm still a slave to what you're saying. You're keeping me under your thumb, therefore, that's basically it. And like I said, there's not been one NPC that really shown itself to me in a light that, number one, my character agrees with, aside from that one NPC, all the way to something I have. Well, I would suppose the God of Fate would be one as well, but that's just biasm at that point. I can't think of another one that really stood out to me. Because you had Silent Mr. Intimidating Guy, then you had Silent Mr. Mage Guy, then you had the Kid, then you had Khan, then you had Mr. Silverhawk Face, which was also a silently intimidating guy. Then you had just standard medical practice, nomad style other leader in the city. Like nobody really stood out as like a shining beacon so far, except that one other character, which really only had a bit role to play, but it was done in a way that I really enjoyed, because we were, you remember what we were talking about, and I was salivating thinking of it.
Most of the individuals that you guys had met were people that your characters, in a sense of putting it into some sort of context that it can be relatable, would be like walking up to an NPC that you don't have like the air quotes required rep, that they would concern their dealings with you yet, because that's kind of what Oasis as the starting point is it introduces you to a place which in the future may be a lot of work, or is a place that you kind of dredge yourself through, and deal with it without caring for the rest of the world outside the walls. But a lot of you guys are there for just the fact that Oasis is near, well, a lot of the places that you have interests in, or the fact that it is a convenient location. But other than that, I know one character, one of you guys, it was one of you guys has connection there, but the rest of you, that was pretty much it. And I would say for me as a DM standpoint, a lot of the start was to help put you all into a situation where you find that you're all like-minded to some regard. Which you guys all did at that fucking fight with Khan. I would sit there and say it was kind of that wonderful bonding experience where you guys are like, all right, we're here to do this. Let's help people and be done with this.
I agree, and that's why I was like, it's kind of an unfair question because we haven't played long enough to really have an option to meet very many NPCs.
Mhm.
I'm sure that if we push into the Eastern content, I'll start to see more and more unique things that are akin to my type of likings, or even the Western. But even as a player who has essentially battle tested this campaign in an alternate version years ago, that I kind of know what the South entailed, though I've never been there. Not even when we played that last campaign. I never went there. Because all the rumors and the one of our players' characters coming from there, we basically were like, yeah, that place is a shithole. let's just avoid it.
Yeah, I'd try to, in a sense, make it this campaign's kind of Baldur's Gate. There are more helpful people in this city than there is in Baldur's Gate, but it's just if you took Baldur's Gate and made it size by 100 and times everything by that, your percentage of meeting an okay person still goes up. One person becomes 10 or 100 people, but that's still a city of probably thousands or millions that there's only like 100 good people in. So it's a location of the fact that you guys are to help with a understanding, and I mentioned this to Mike Drop when he first offered to play the role of Khan. Itis as a planet is like 1.5 to almost 2 times the size of Earth. The continent in which you are on isn't even the largest landmass, and it's yet the size of Europe, Asia, and a lot of Africa thrown together. Like the city-state of Oasis is like walking across half of Texas. In some cases, like the wall itself is massive. It would take days to traverse if you're just walking. The reason why you guys are able to move around Oasis very well is because you have an individual that's their whole thing is being in Oasis and being able to move through it at an easier pace.
Yep.
And the
It's
fact
their
that,
home ground, yeah.
And so I kind of give that aspect where you're gonna be cutting through alleyways, and with the group that you guys are traveling with, you're not gonna get mugged by a couple of guys in a dark alley. So you guys are able to move through places pretty easy or undisturbed in Oasis. But when you went to the desert, and I'm like, it's gonna take your characters weeks to move across this desert. They kind of put in the scope of how far detached Oasis is. And that it is still considered convenient. So a lot of cities on size are not as big as Oasis. Some of your characters have seen other cities that may have a lot more going on, but not as much, not as many people or cover as much land. But Oasis is kind of that gimmick where it is a city-state. It could occupy the size of a kingdom as one city. So, when going through the desert to help relay some things and information from the end of the one shot that you guys had last Saturday, when the characters woke up, as I said it to Spaz and Melody, the characters woke up in the same place they were before they met the Anubai. You guys are in the desert still. So that's where we're picking up this Saturday. Is that kind of realization of we're not where we thought we were.
We ain't in Kansas anymore.
Sure. Yeah, you're taken by a tornado.
No. I don't
But,
think so.
I asked Spaz a little bit ago about why they had this feeling of something being off with the pharaoh, the young cat, or the young tabaxi, with the Nubai attendant. I'll ask you, Fel, in that entire situation, did you have any kind of weird feeling whatsoever?
Based on myself or based on my character?
Either. Or you can do both.
On my character, no. Honestly, he didn't care for the situation. He's always been in noble courts before. It's part of his lifestyle.
Okay.
It probably was the reason why he had such a high musical check for that one point, because he's generally used to performing, going to parties, going to balls, having fun with nobles and noble lords and ladies, whatever. In terms of a player, I mean, I'm a DM. I could see a story arc option when it's right in my face.
Mm-hmm.
Story arc option for my character, probably not. For one of the others, more than likely. I'm not going to name any names, but it should be pretty blatantly obvious. But was it something I picked up on? Yes. Was it something I was interested in, arcing through? Like I said, it didn't really match with my character, so no. I mean, yeah, I picked up on it, but I wasn't gonna pursue it.
Okay. Speaking of interests of characters, you guys, your current heading is towards the Eastern Kingdoms, in the same general direction as the Black Citadel. For you, Fel, to continue to pick on you for a little bit, your character has been given the information that an individual was in possession of one of your father's blades and had sold it to Khan. And as you guys were told in some fashion, they headed out of Oasis eastward by, I believe, Hawk told you that. Which was confirmed more by an individual that you met at the Anubai camp, named Set.
Oh boy, Set.
As the start of last episode, you guys reached the Cherry Blossom Pass. What was it that you were hoping to either find as soon as you find as you go that direction, or what are some of the thoughts running through Felwolf's head at this point?
Through Felwolf's head at this point is the fact that he's going through the Cherry Blossom Pass means he's going near Felwolf's estate. Basically, he's going near his family's like ancestral home, and this is an area that is going to be protected. So if this individual is able to cross the earth basically unmolested, then that means number one, this individual probably has inside access. Number two, he knows secret routes. Number three, he's employing some other means to be unassailed or just have it not being stopped in any fashion. Let alone the fact that this is obviously not just Felwolf's family's home. There are going to be other tribes, families, not all of which are nice, like the Starstrider family. Starstrider family is, and always has been, an oddity in these lands. It's one of them that stood out. And as you guys learn more about my character, you'll understand how much this stood out. I've actually dropped some of these hints in the sessions before. I don't know if some of the other players picked up on.
Well, let's hope they either rewatch some of the previous episodes or keep an eye on it for now. Speaking of heading eastward and towards the Black King Citadel, Melody, Shadow is heading probably to some of the farthest reaches of the Badlands, the desert he's ever been. Leaving a place he calls home, either begrudgingly or with twinkled hope in his eye. What are some of the thoughts that are going through Shadow's mind as now this ragtag group of almost like-minded people? What are you thinking as you're heading this way, as you're leaving the place you once called home?
Well, he mostly would have fleeting thoughts of his family, more or less hoping for their safety in such a awful city as that. But he would trust that Hawk would see to it that they would go relatively without being turned into slaves. Other than that, he would look towards the future of what may lay in wait ahead of him for him and his newfound companions. There is something nagging at his mind, but because I rolled very shittily and got a nat 1, he may have forgot what it was. So, who knows what's in store for the future.
This is why we take notes.
No, okay, so as a player, I know things that he doesn't know.
Oh, we're talking about other
Because
shit.
I
Okay.
rolled a 1 on a history roll, I'm pretty sure he forgotten some important shit.
I thought you were talking about something pertaining to your backstory. I'm like, isn't this shit written down?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have all of our
I
backstories.
am. However, if you get a shitty history roll, you're
There ain't
gonna
much you
suffer
can do.
consequences.
You're
Okay,
just done.
Sorry, I misunderstood what was happening there.
you're fine. I'm just trying to word it in such a way. But yeah, as a player, there is definitely stuff on the horizon for him. He has many things to look forward to in the future, and a possible grandiose adventure awaiting him. Maybe a side story, and perhaps, who knows?
Hey, anything's possible.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it is
Yeah.
D&D, so who knows?
Yeah.
The
True enough.
same kind of question towards you, Spaz, is Eloria finally heading, or has headed, and is now maybe re-heading in that same direction towards the Black King's Citadel, and towards the Eastern Empires, or towards the East in general, lands that you've not really heard much about. What's some of the thoughts going through your head?
Well, going through my head, as a player, I am excited to see the East so soon. I didn't think we were going to be leaving the Badlands for a while yet. I thought we were going to be either doing things in Oasis or heading out and investigating, something or other in the desert. But heading there so soon, it has me a little excited. Because as I have said before, Felwolf is one of the characters who I am most intrigued to learn more about, and going to the east, that it will pertain, especially with his clan being in the Cherry Blossom Pass. Cherry Blossom Pass.
Jerry Blossom
Jerry
Pass.
Blossom Bass.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's leave me alone. Okay, so the Cherry Blossom Pass. I imagine now I will find out a quite a good deal about him and his clan, and how, like he was saying earlier, just how alien his people are compared to the rest of the clans that exist in the past. Now, as Eloria, the character, I would say that I am a little bit. What?
I'm laughing at what Yami said in chat.
Jesus Christ. As the character Eloria, I would say, I would feel a little bit disappointed that I have to leave so soon. I say so soon, after us being in the desert for weeks. But to leave without finding out, I would say anything substantial, but I did find out, quite a bit with what Arya and Vel had told me in the accounts of the barkeep, and what some people have come in to say about it to him, and what he told me. So I wouldn't say that the trip to Oasis in the Badlands it was for nothing. It most certainly wasn't. It's just I wish I had the opportunity to learn more, but as we are now, we wouldn't last long to stay in the Badlands, or especially to attempt to return to Oasis.
So you figure out of the directions you could head, east was the best option?
Absolutely. Personally, as far as as far as Eloria is concerned, heading back to the west, probably not. Nothing really important that I can think of happening over there, aside from the creeping spread of the sands. Maybe the thing that she would like to see for herself would be the wall that the druids crafted up there to try and prevent that spread, and see just how far it's spread beyond that wall. Aside from that, though, I mean, that's where her circle is roaming, and aside from that, and possible other current personal connections that she would rather not deal with at the moment, I would say that heading east is definitely the better option.
Okay. Y'all, you have any questions, since you're pretty active in chat right now?
Watch, he's gonna give us some dumb shit. If I know Yami, he's gonna ask who has the biggest ass.
We all already know That's Shadow.
You leave my ass out of this.
He's fat dumpy.
Just because I'm 7'2" doesn't mean that I have the biggest ass.
All right, everybody. So Yami asks, "Why would I care?"
I exist there. Well, you're watching this stream.
Wait, is that Nags, like the streamer that does Twitch and streaming? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Hey, hello. And well, what are you here for, Yami? I don't understand. What are you doing here?
Yami,
Just here to watch the
you want to
entertainment.
ask any of the cast here some questions?
This is your chance to get free answers out of us.
Support you, dude. Well, thank you. We appreciate your support. You son of a bitch. I don't think he has anything for us. I think he's just here to vibe.
Over here, just trying to listen to us and our bullshit while doing other things and not really caring what's going on.
We're probably working on music right now. Am I right?
Probably.
Probably.
That'd be your ideal story for your characters.
Okay, well, yeah. What would be your ideal stories for your characters? Like, what is the perfect path?
Oh. Well, I can't really say for mine, or else it kind of ruins things.
Oh,
Fair?
man.
I wish I could say more, but that would spoil backstory that hasn't yet been discussed.
They wish to accomplish their goals in the highest grade possible.
I can do it and kind of be vague, I guess. Essentially, if everything went correctly, it would be to restore the title that was stripped, get back what was lost, and essentially to bring people together in a unison.
Intriguing. Time to put these vague answers into my notes to save for later and try to connect to some bullshit.
I gotta do the same thing now. Like, well, obviously we know Felwolf had gone to Oasis to seek a master. That much has been said. So, and as soon as he found one, he challenged them because from what the characters have learned so far, he's hunting down masters. Now, I don't believe anybody has asked why. But I would say that after he's completed that, he would feel as if he has attained what he needed to finish his hunt.
All right. And then Eloria just wants to burn everything down.
Good story.
Yep.
Well, when it comes to Oasis, you're not entirely wrong. I did say that before, that quite literally, she sees it as something to be excised, a plague to be excised from the land.
Don't burn down my forest, please.
Listen, it's so far away, the fire won't reach it. Besides, Eloria thinks that forest is beautiful. Unless there was something like disturbing the biorhythm there, I don't think she would actively harm it.
The trees are made out of spiders.
Fuck that forest, it's burning to the ground.
The cherry blossom trees aren't really cherry blossom trees.
No.
Every cherry blossom petal is actually explosive.
Dude. In the sequence where we were going through or approaching the cherry blossom pass in our illusion dream, whatever, she already said that she thought it was beautiful. Like, she was obviously in awe of it. So don't think you have to worry about that.
Cool.
Though something I will say though, regarding Master Hawk, actually, is what he actually said to Eloria before we had set out to go to the east. was that he had told her to understand life before you burn it. That I have a few, as a player, a couple ideas of what he meant by that. And that bit of dialogue right there, I hope sparks an
Epiphany?
an epiphany, or a chain of events to occur to ultimately make Eloria realize what exactly it was that he meant by that. Because, I mean, as you guys saw before, during our heist on Khan's estate, when she had ignited the lighthouse and set it on fire, even with people in it, she didn't feel any kind of like remorse or regret in her decision. In fact, given what she knew about the city, her experience there already, she kind of was. It was like this sense of accomplishment, I guess, in her mind. That's kind of why. I mean, Stolen was there with me, so he would have seen. I think I described it. The kind of, I guess, twisted smirk she had on her face when that had happened. So that paired with what Hawk had said, I hope to have more time to stew on that in character and have events unfold that will cause that cryptic bit of wisdom to become more clear. For her, at the very least.
Another thing that was brought up that you were not here for, Fel, was the fact that once you guys woke up in the desert outside of Oasis and Master Hawk was there, he had a bit to tell all of you. And of course, it was already pre-established that he knew who your father was to some degree.
Yes.
But what did Felwolf, the character, give any thought to the fact that within the few days that Master Hawk was aware of the entire party, that he's able to gather some form of information on each member?
No, he was not shocked whatsoever. Felwolf is actually an intelligent character. If you watch the stream, you'll see that he's actually a 3 in intelligence, which is way above average. And the fact that he's specifically hunting down these masters, and Master Hawk is one of these masters, he expects a modicum of intelligence and wisdom amongst these. And the fact that compiled on the fact that this individual knows not just Felwolf's father, but the faction that Felwolf's father belongs to, they're connected. It kind of goes hand in hand. There was not going to be really a surprise twist that Felwolf wouldn't have deemed unexpected. This individual is highly practiced. This individual is highly skilled. This individual is an expert in information gathering. He basically was able to deduce upon the first meeting. It's blatantly obvious, like, this roguey cat individual is getting basically played by this shadowy individual, that this shadowy individual is either got some kind of a thumb on this individual, or guy's master, which means he's going to be better at stealth, investigation, perception, he's going to be better with all these things. And then compile that with the fact that Felwolf actually challenged this man and basically had a shutout match. This also means that this individual is highly skilled. So he had all the information at his fingertips by the end of the Oasis to not really be surprised by this individual. Felwolf is a calculating individual. Over the course of the meetings he's had with Master Hawk, he may not know who Master Hawk is, because obviously that's not a real name. We could all basically just surmise that.
Yeah,
but
that's
he
definitely
could tell you that out of everybody in Oasis, Master Hawk is arguably one of the most skilled. Which is why I said no. I was not surprised that, like, number one, he knew my father. My father attracts certain type of people. Either it's people that want to kill him for the stuff he's done, or it's friends that he's made along the way. Obviously, this individual was a latter. He was a friend that my father had helped, and this individual owed him a favor. This was what was told to us in that stream. Mm-hmm. The favor's basically been repaid at this point. And so, yeah, that's basically what I stand by. And the whole fact that he gave me a bit of information that's actually useful, which is this individual and where he's going, which has set us on a path at this point. Which brings me on to the next thing I was actually going to talk about, was this individual who had sold my father's Wakizashi. Felwolf is going through a lot of like inner turmoil in terms of hypothesis. There's a lot of things going through his mind right now because his people, specifically his clan, along with a few other clans, have a certain way of life. And everything is screaming red flags. If there was a giant flag the size of a fire truck that was just red, it'd be waving this thing all over the desert towards his house at this point. He knows something is absolutely wrong because, number one, his father is without his main weapon, the ancestral weapon. Number two, he's without his sidearm at this point. There's something drastically wrong. And it's not just with his father. That means if his father's missing, what happened to his father's faction? There's a lot of unanswered questions that Felwolf is currently bouncing around in.
Yeah. There's also the question of where was this man's origin, having come from the west and now heading towards east, but with a regalia that looked eastern, which was what was told to you. There's a bit of confusion. I can understand where you're at with that. With you being here, I'm gonna try to divert me a few minutes of respite from asking questions. I do know that Spaz had some questions for you specifically. Do you still have those questions, Spaz?
I do. They pertain less so to your character and more so to what the fuck went on last session.
If you don't have a full answer while I absconder off to the a cosmic beings room, you can just abstain from the answer if you don't have it. Okay. And have him save it for me if you so wish. But okay. I must go and take care of the seeding of a galaxy.
Alrighty. So where do I fucking start? Where do I fucking start?
You didn't like me as a DM or something?
Why don't you start when you were born?
I'm gonna. No, it's not that I don't like you as a DM. It's not that. As much as I will preface. I will preface saying that Saturday night, with the past 2 days of work being entire shit shows, and definitely played into half of my mood while going through that entire thing, and then having everything that happened happen. I was not in a good headspace for most of that session. I was with all of the especially with that math problem. Like, I experienced legitimate rage.
Yeah.
After the session, I was so upset because that fucking tower, especially that riddle segment, and to a lesser but still significant degree, the room of pleasant distractions. took my pride, which is a huge issue I have, is like personal pride, and it fucking smashed it into the ground, took a chainsaw to it, drill hammered that thing into the ground, and decided for good measure to launch a full cylinder of M32 grenade launcher shells at it. That's what it did to me those past 3 days.
Well, I'm glad I
of
could
my
be of
life.
service.
In any case, in what deep pit of hell did you concoct this fucking tower to begin with?
So this tower actually belongs in my campaign that I run, custom campaign. And when Arch basically said, "Hey, I'm going to be occupied this weekend. I won't be able to DM do it for me," I had literally just ran 2 different D&D sessions through that tower over the last like 3 weeks, basically. And I was like, "Sure, I got this thing that's still prepared. I can do that for them, no problem." And then Melody, of course, was kind enough to actually make me custom maps for what I need. Which, thanks for that, by the way.
No problem.
And so, yeah, it was something I've had made for a long time. And only recently, in those last previous groups, that I actually have it battle tested. And they did fine. I almost had one guy die maze bit. I almost had another one die during the performance bit. It's actually technically 2 people almost died during the performance bit. But yeah, every other group, they fucking flew through the riddles within 5 minutes. Every other group.
They probably understood the theme a lot quicker than we did.
Well, they also had a few people in their groups, respectively, that were good at different things. Like in one of them, somebody was good with math. Another one was good with logic. Another one was just a really big fan of different types of riddles. And so, with these people in different campaigns, they were able to basically crack the codes for the riddles. And even in this session, when we were talking with Luna afterwards, I told you guys, I was like, with this particular playthrough, I actually swapped out some of my riddles because I thought they'd be a little bit either too hard or too easy. I tried to base each playthrough based on the players themselves. And I know you guys. There's certain things that you guys are good at. There's certain things you guys are not. And so I tried to put my fingers on that vein.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure I did pretty good.
Yeah,
My
the thing that
riddles.
pissed me off the most about the riddles is I would have gotten that math one if I didn't make a dumbass mistake in my math, because I had typed it all out.
Mhm.
But this is something I've done multiple times throughout my education. Is I will either like add, or it's generally I will add 10 where 10 is not right. So like in the order of the so for the one where you had to guess the next number in the sequence, I had everything I had all the numbers laid out, and then next to them I had all the numbers that were subtracted and added laid out. And there was a pattern. It was every next highest prime number. But the problem was when it got to 19, my brain instead said 29. And so me too focused on trying to find what the hell the pattern was, didn't stop to think that maybe my math was wrong or that the numbers I had written down was wrong. And so I never saw a pattern. And so I just threw out a random guess.
Yami's ripping on you, by the way.
I know I'm stupid, Yami. Oh, I'm gonna tell you this right now. After that, the next day at work, I was stewing on that for like the entire next couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, and I actually talked to a couple of our viewers the next day. I was playing Ark with some of them, and some of them were actually ones that went through this tower before you guys, and they were having a blast trying to see you guys go through. Because the sequence one was one of the ones I kept in from the other sessions. And so they were having a blast watching you trying to crack that. It got to the point where I remember they were talking when you were in the onset, and you're like, "I'm gonna go look at the wall," and you're like, "I'm gonna go look harder at the wall." Okay.
Look, if you, I mean, you say you know me, then you understand. By this point, I should hope
Yeah.
that my brain will go just about anywhere.
Yeah, and that's
when
what we
I
were.
see something. And so if in my head something, seems suspicious or seems like it could be connected to, like, X could be connected to Z in some way, I just have to find out what Y is. I'm like, okay, where's Y? Where's Y? Like, that's my brain.
Most
And see,
recent
that's what-
example for that is you thinking Master Hawk is either a dragon or actually Dragon Hawk.
I don't think Master Hawk's a dragon. I never said that. I think Mel had thrown that out there, but I didn't actually think that. But for a split second, we were talking about dragons, and then we were talking about Master Hawk, and then in my brain, I was in the middle of a sentence, and I stopped mid-sentence, and I'm like, fuck. This thought is in my brain now. I was like, is Hawk really so conspicuous of a fucking nickname for Fel's father to use?
Yeah, he's in the chat. He's like, yes, the wall here is made of wall.
That was literally me for like the entire fucking room of
The onsen, yeah.
the entire onsen
The room of pleasant
Yes.
distractions.
Yes, I was literally like, this
You
wall is made
sure
of
that
wall.
wasn't me? I was sitting there staring at the force field the entire time.
Well, yeah,
'cause
like the last
I
15
couldn't
minutes,
on
you
you
were just in
guys.
meditation at that point.
I was
Yeah.
just staring at the wall, watching fucking force field be force
I
filled.
don't remember who it was that actually cracked it. I want to say it was Wolf that actually cracked it.
It was. He heard the clicking in the doors, and that shit pissed me off so much. As I know,
That's-
Mask saw door. I'm gonna open it and see what's inside. Okay, and I leave. I don't.
And nobody ever closed the door.
Close the door. Not until Arya went in there to take a fucking bath, and she
Yep.
closed the door behind her, but she didn't even notice it. Wolf did it. And was like, that's odd, when she came back out. And so he clicks the door a couple times, and then he goes and clicks the other door, or rather Arya goes and clicks the other doors, and then the fucking force field drops, and I'm like, I swear to God. I'm
And
gonna kill him.
that's
I'm
the
gonna kill him.
beauty. That's the beauty of that room. I crafted that room such a simple puzzle. You open every door and close every door once, and that's it. That's the answer to the puzzle.
Well, you have to
But I
open and
put
close it.
so many distractions in that room that you guys
believe
went everywhere else.
Me believing that stupid thermostat stone was like the key to killing the fish, and then if we could kill the fish, we could go down into that side of the pool and find some fucking lever or some shit.
Oh yeah,
that we had to.
that's why I made
use
each pool go to a different area. I had multiple different rooms. I had multiple different, like, I had the heat rock. I had thermostat. I had a lot of shit in that room. That's why it's called the room of pleasant distraction.
Yeah, at least
so many things.
you
in
told
there.
me though that one of your previous groups that you had go through was super enamored with the rock for some reason. They were like,
Yes.
this rock, it is warm. Let's investigate this rock in particular.
That was the first group. They focused on the and the temperature gauge for the longest period of time.
This is
about licking wood.
Yeah, and then they got so fucking lost on trying to figure it out. 3 hours in, they're still stuck, and one of them just degrades to the point of licking the walls.
0, I believe. You
Yeah.
told me about that. Oh my God. Jesus, dude.
Yeah. So for a simple puzzle, it's all about the environment for that particular place. So many things that stand out when it's actually the more simple solution. And that's what I try to do with this tower is I try to give you guys different types of puzzles. Obviously, you had the door puzzle, which is a triple rotating. I explained that shit. That was complicated.
Some dumb shit.
That one's complicated.
That's some dumb shit that you can't solve from the inside. There is no
Yes.
way to know unless you go in and out through the doors, back and forth, and you're like, oh, this shit is rotating. That's the only way to do it.
And that's what I'm saying. There's very few ways. There is ways, but it's really hard to figure that puzzle out. In my opinion, that's technically the hardest puzzle. However, it's the only one of the puzzles generally that you can do completely by RNG and get there quickly. Because you could just pick the right path and be done with it. 30 minutes.
Which we did, I believe. It didn't take us too terribly
Close.
long.
You got close. You did backtrack like twice or 2 or 3 times, which is when I started giving out the DM hints. I'm like, okay, it's time for the magic fields to be seen, things like that, which gave you guys an inclination, like in direction at that point. As for the onsen, obviously that was a puzzle. It was a simple door lock puzzle. Open 3 doors, close 3 doors. That's it. It was all about distractions, all about what could be's, what ifs, that type of puzzle. Then you have the riddle room, which is literally as simple as puzzles as you can get. It's just mind teasers, brain teasers. And then the last one was actually an orchestra puzzle, where it's all about performance. It's not necessarily a puzzle, more as a challenge.
Yeah.
If you are able to beat this challenge, that's cool. If then you didn't get a bonus item. Basically what it came down to. You guys were able to beat it, so you got a couple of health potions.
Which was nice.
Oh, I will ask this though, because we talked about this a little bit off stream, and we can stop if it's not appropriate. But you were telling us that there was a 4th floor that we didn't see, one that the other groups did, because there was a staircase in the orchestra room, but we never went up it. So what was on that 4th floor, Fel?
So the map that you guys have, which is still technically up on Roll20, there's only one staircase. The staircase that went up to that. There was no staircase that went up further. But in my initial map that I had, other campaigns, there was a second staircase. That would have went up to the wizard's basically bed chambers / living space area, where he spent most of the time. That, however, is not supposed to be part of this campaign. If I cut that particular out, my other group would have had like library. They went found information about campaigns and some NPCs that they know in that campaign. But once again, all that does not pertain to this. So I just cut that entire floor off.
DLC content. You didn't buy the DLC.
I didn't get the DLC. Feels bad, man.
So what I told Arch I would do is I would challenge, send you guys through them, and if you did that bonus challenge, performance one, because I knew ours is a group where we all basically have an instrument, which is why I chose to keep this floor and make it the challenge floor. And obviously, you also had a boss fight, which the other group never did in my other campaign. There was no boss fight in this, which is something to contemplate for a second. Why did I throw a boss fight? Do you guys remember what I told you when you did wake up?
That it wasn't, at least for me, it wasn't exactly clear, but Arch clarified that when we woke up, Fel was fighting, was clashing blades with somebody, and then there was the same wraith creature that we fought in the tower there, and that's what Albert was fending off.
That's correct. So when you guys initially went in there, you guys were like, well, fucking Felwolf and Eloria don't have to go. They're over there asses whooped right now. and luckily, time does not pass normally in the area, so they're not dead yet. The fact that you guys have woken up and you heard the combat, which means they're still standing.
Yeah.
The fact that
I might get a turn of combat before I go down again.
right?
If you roll high initiative.
Well, here's the good news: is it seems like they're right.
It seems like they're what?
Yeah.
You got cut out.
They're occupied, is what I said.
Ah.
The instant I roll over a fucking 28, they're just gonna be like, never let you move. Got it.
Yeah, another thing that you should probably put some thought to. If this entity, which puts you into this situation, is watching you, why? Why are they watching you?
No fucking idea, Phil. Maybe you would like to answer that for us.
I'm not allowed.
Yeah, it's spoilers, my guy. Oh, we can't say shit. Mum's the word.
So when it comes to the character himself, like me DMing, that is going to be a very rare thing in this. That is only when Arch says, "Okay, I need the God of Fate to do this," and he needs to go like step aside. Otherwise, he'll just control the God of Fate as is. He doesn't need me to do that. I'm just the backup DM.
Which means anytime the God of Fate steps in, Felwolf is going to be stepping out.
Basically.
I got
Which is
to
gonna
do the
be-
God of Fate once. I did it for a holiday session. It was great.
Yeah, it's fun being the God of Fate, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Leon hated that.
Dude,
Okay,
yeah,
got better.
you keep telling me about this Leon guy.
So
Cool.
Leon was a character in our first battle test, back when it was entirely different. Back when there were different rules in play, the story was different, everything was basically. He overhauled this. But Leon was a human rogue / bard. And this individual ended up basically hating the God of Fate with like a burning passion. It was so convoluted, like their relationship. One of the times the God of Fate stepped in and put them in one of these illusions, Leon actually died.
Oh.
And it was because of his own accord, though. Like, if I remember, they're in a IC a boss, and Leon basically put himself next to a very deep pit.
Oh right.
You remember this?
I remember this.
He
He
as
was
could have
pissed.
bonus actioned and disengaged and then ran away and stuff like that, but he chose to stand right next to the boss. And so this boss, being this big, strong Andy, picks the guy up and tosses him into the fucking pit. Insta kills the rogue. And he basically took that. He ends up getting brought back through one of the other NPCs. But he basically took that as like the final straw with the God of Fate, and that was basically the relationship.
And so that, you know what scares me is that you say that I remind you of him. You one of you has said that before.
I
Oh,
believe
that
it's
was me.
melody.
Yeah,
That
you're
was
like,
me,
great, he's gonna
yeah.
be the next Leon. I'm like, I don't know what this means, but I'm sure
Don't mind me. I'm
good.
just pandering.
I'm sure it can't be good.
Well, if it's means you're the next Leon, that means you're probably first to die.
Fuck. That's not good, Fel. I'm literally the least experienced.
He's the one that said it. I only laughed at it. No, Leon was the first character to die in the campaign.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
He also died from his own stupidity.
Yeah, he died a few
hopefully-
times. Yeah.
Hopefully, my fucking brain doesn't short out like it did for a good portion of that fucking sequence.
Look,
Like,
just
I still.
play your character smart. Don't make dumb decisions, and whatever you do, don't break
Remember
into
what
a
your
really
class is
high
doing.
security goblin's airship
Yeah.
and pretend to be
no.
him. Don't do
Don't
that.
do that.
Okay,
Don't do that.
so I would ask that what that story is, but that's probably best saved for another time.
Well, he's referencing the character I played. I was the very paradigm powerful. Yeah.
So.
And my brother was a sniper.
So to avoid previous renditions of this setting, to push towards a couple other things, you have this period that you have spent in the desert where you guys have had the chance to conversate. I believe that the start of last Saturday had a period of time in which you guys spoke about a certain situation. Am I wrong?
A certain situation.
I don't remember.
Wow.
This most recent session?
when we arrived to the Cherry Blossom Pass in our illusion? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about when we arrived?
When you
Or-
arrived at the Cherry Blossom Pass, you guys had a conversation, I believe, with Arya.
Oh, I did. That's right. Sorry,
right.
fucking. That's right. I did. Yeah, she had talked to me about wanting to tell the others who didn't know about her vampirism. Correct? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
What was your character's thought behind her desire to come forward to the group that you have been traveling with something as dangerous and possibly dangerous, but definitely sensitive as that?
My character's thoughts. That's a good one. I haven't thought about this yet, actually. I would say that I believe the reason why she would want to tell the others could possibly stem from the way that Eloria had vehemently interrogated Arya earlier, like when the night after they first met, um, with her seeing Arya walk on the wall, just casually walking on the wall, and then do so again when she had created that pit in front of her, and with Eloria eventually piecing together through their uh, uh, heist on Khan's estate with the items that he had in there, the crest that she had seen, and then what Arya had said that the sword was an heirloom after her piecing that together. Basically, in front of, I think it was Felwolf, Elenin, um, and Albert that were there, along with myself and Arya. So most of the group now is aware. The only people who aren't are Stolen and Shadow, I believe. They're the only ones that don't know. Now, I can imagine that she would probably want to come out and say it as soon as possible, just so that more things don't happen to where she's interrogated like that again, or questioned, having her integrity questioned. That could also be it, or just simply to clear have everybody in on that secret now that it has been revealed to a few of us. Maybe she feels it would be wrong to keep the rest of them in the dark. It could be one of those two things or something else, but for me, I believe it would be either one of those two things. The reason why Eloria believes that they should be told later rather than sooner, especially not during their time traveling the desert, would be because they're out here with no one but each other for company, and if they have that sitting in the back of their minds, rather the two that don't know, if they have that sitting in the back of their minds, fresh in the back of their minds while we're traversing the desert, with the possibility of Arya giving into her hunger and feeding on somebody or doing something else, that would be undue stress upon the already accumulated stress that we have from our our trials in Oasis, and coming this far already through the desert. And then especially after the tower and everything. I know that Eloria is saying that it could wait was before the tower, but especially now after the tower, and seeing and the site that they awoke to, it would she's still even stronger now, more strongly now believes that it would be better to wait
Okay.
If you're gonna ask me if Eloria trusts Arya, no, she doesn't trust anybody in the group so far.
Has Eloria thought about how Arya has traveled with Felwolf for years? It doesn't seem like Felwolf is.
That did cross her mind. It actually came up in the conversation when Eloria initially found out, when she was musing on whether or not Arya was a threat to keep around. She gauged the fact that she had been told by you, I believe, that you and that Felwolf and Arya had been traveling together for a long time. So she came to either one to two conclusions: either A, Felwolf knew the whole time, and it was never and he like helped her to either A, keep it under control, or B, just it wasn't a problem, or the second option being that he never knew, but it was just never an issue in their travels, so it never came up. Uh, and with if the first conclusion is true, then she is more suspicious of Felwolf due to that. But if it's option two, then Eloria would have more reason to, or rather have less reason to be and totally suspicious of Arya and Felwolf by proxy as to what it is they're doing basically. That being said, it's I said this before in character. Eloria is not one to uh, make an ultimate judgment on somebody based on what they are. So the fact that that Arya is a vampire isn't necessarily the end all be all of her judgment. It's what Arya ultimately ends up doing with herself, whether she ends up proving that she's more of a hindrance than a help, or proving that she's able to keep it under control to a point where it doesn't have to be a problem. She's reserved judgment for now, but is definitely cautious and definitely wary.
What do you think about Felwolf's attitude towards the group?
As a player or as the character?
As the character.
As the character. What are my thoughts on Felwolf's attitude towards the group? To Eloria, she believes that Felwolf is overly friendly, because thus far, Felwolf's attitude towards almost everyone in the group has been, kind and kind of just, generally well between them. And given that that Eloria had seen Felwolf say to Arya that he trusts her, in spite of her vampirism, in spite of her bloodline, that that so far has been kind of a defining moment for the way Eloria views Fel. She believes him. Well, yes, he is battle smart, and she's seen that, and he's most definitely skilled. When it comes to people, she believes, whether she's right or wrong about this, she believes that Felwolf is, what's the right word to use here? Not naive, but I would say
ignorant.
Given his travels, I wouldn't say ignorant, but to damn it, I had the word there. I fucking I had the word that I was about to say something, and then you said that.
Inexperienced?
Not an experience. Too open. He's too uh uh forthcoming, I guess, would be the most accurate term that I could use. Um, because I wouldn't call Felwolf naive. Eloria wouldn't call naive, especially considering his stance towards Khan in that moment when we had that confrontation with him, and with what he had said to her. She doesn't believe him to be necessarily naive. It's just she doesn't think that Fel should be as open with the people in the party that he doesn't know as he is. Um, it's the main reason why, aside from her her mission in Oasis, she has told nobody anything about herself. The only thing people know about her, that the party knows about her, is that she, well, obviously is a druid, and that she's investigating the Black Citadel, or the Black King's Citadel. That's it. She hasn't talked about family. She hasn't talked about childhood. She hasn't talked about anything in a similar sense to Shadow hasn't talked about anything, at least as far as I'm aware. Not anything significant in any case, aside from your vague comments about your relationship with Hawk. But yeah, and she doesn't say a dang thing because she, like I said, doesn't. Well, while she has maintained an alliance with the group and has, and is, I would say, content with traveling with them for the time being because they have proven themselves, stout. She doesn't trust them, not as friends or comrades at all. They're to her, the party is more so a as it stands, a means to an end, a means for her own survival. Which is why when figuring out that Arya was a vampire, and the possibility of Fel maybe knowing that or not, she began to question, or rather become concerned for her own safety, her own well-being. So yeah, so she doesn't do a trust, and she doesn't do friends, basically.
She's basically the polar opposite of Fel.
Exactly. As it stands, she is the opposite of Fel. Which is why I was talking about this earlier, but I don't think you were here. She's perplexed by the anger that she felt when she discovered that Zach, the person she had traveled to Oasis with, despite having barely known him, she was angry at the fate that he had that had befallen him upon the second day of being in Oasis, and then also when she began to basically lose her rationality in the fight with Khan, seeing everybody was dropping. She, for whatever reason, and she doesn't understand this yet, the reason why she was in that moment of weakness willing to treat with Khan to keep them alive, including Felwolf, but seeing, or rather hearing what having been told what Fel had told her immediately after she suggested surrender, it basically put her back into the mindset she had been in before. It put her back into her right mind, and so that's when she was basically like, all right, screw it, like if we die here, so be it, but it doesn't suck any less that I wasn't able to fulfill what I wanted to fulfill. or to finish my mission. Basically, what was going through her head right there. But I guess you could say that she was in a sense rallied and somewhat inspired by what Fel said. That confidence and assurance spoke to her in a way. So I don't know. I'm basically just rambling at this point.
In terms of a personality, what do you derive Felwolf more than anything?
All right, say that again. You're quiet and got cut out.
Oh, I said in terms of personality, what do you find that stands out about Felwolf more than anything?
Out of everything in his personality.
Obviously, we know he's friendly. That was never really up for debate. But what is it that stands out about his mindset, his personality,
compared to Eloria's and how she views the world?
Yeah, because they seem to differ fundamentally.
In Eloria's experience, Felwolf's mindset, what she has seen of him, she believes that living that sort of life, that and seeing people in the way that he does, is more trouble than it's worth. So that's why I said she found it struck her that you said that Felwolf said that he had trusted Arya in light of her vampirism. Because trust is something that, like I said, Eloria doesn't do. She doesn't truly trust anybody. She tolerates people, but she doesn't trust them. So I would say
I'd like to build on that for a moment. Felwolf seems to be a friendly individual from what you've deduced, and you have this individual who has shown that he seems to be headstrong about certain topics. He obviously is brave enough to stand up for his friends, even if they don't even consider themselves friends. But you're saying that he trusts Arya. That means that this type of individual that Felwolf is determined through whatever means that Arya is somebody to be trusted.
Right, from the way that Felwolf sees things, he believes Arya can be trusted. And the way Eloria sees things, she doesn't know yet. She doesn't know if she can trust you or Arya or anybody else in the party. So right now she's choosing not to err on the side of caution. Because
what does Eloria think about Shadow?
Out of everybody, I think she trusts him the least. Because at the very least, Arya, when confronted, was she came clean and she told the truth. With Shadow, it took much prodding to get even vague answers out of him during our entire time attempting to plan the heist on Khan's estate. I mean, you saw it. I think it was in session 2, where Shadow was laying out his information and laying out. Well, I say laying out very vaguely, giving us an unclear objective. And so Eloria basically put her foot down and say, "Look, if we're going to do this thing, we have to be upfront about everything we know, and we need to know exactly what we're going for. If we can't show even at least a modicum of transparency with what we're trying to accomplish, with what you're trying to help us accomplish. We can't do this. Trust and cooperation to her don't go hand in hand. People can cooperate and not trust each other. I mean, you might say, well, trust is what builds the foundation of a worthwhile cooperation, of one that will actually work for an extended period of time. And as a player, I would say yes, that's true. As Eloria, I would it's a little more muddled than that, because in her experience, especially when it comes to somebody who appears good and genuine and just, and even day in and day out shows to be that there is still a dark side to everybody, no matter how right you are, no matter how just you may be, no matter how much the people around you may vouch for you and adore you. There is a darkness in everybody, and all it takes is the right switch, or perhaps the wrong switch, to be pressed, and that darkness can take over everything and leave that person you were behind, if only for a moment. That's something that she's seen firsthand. I won't explain what exactly the situation was that made her see it, but that's something that she saw, which is why trusting anybody, no matter how good they may seem to her, is naive, because you haven't seen both sides of that coin, and until you do, you don't know if you can trust them.
So if we build on that, the direction that the group is going is towards Felwolf's family's territory. If Eloria is having issues with trust, this would be the equivalent of walking to like a wolf's den. Does she have anything going through her mind in preparation of this?
Well, like I said, basically she has allied with these people to preserve herself, because she has seen, she's experienced that being in Oasis, being in the Badlands alone, is a death sentence. Having somebody there, even if you don't necessarily, even if you're not necessarily friends, having somebody there that you know, whether you trust them or not, that felt like he'll do, like he proved that he would fight to the death, not only for his honor, but for the people that stood behind him. You said so as much yourself, that in that moment he was willing to die. So she knows that about Fel, and knows the lengths that he'll go to. This is a very precarious slope
Situation, yeah.
that I'm trying to
Navigate.
describe here. Yeah, because I'm trying to find an example.
Because you're going into a potential bad situation if Felwolf does end up being bad. You see the other side of that corner, Robert. Or let's say that Felwolf might be good, but what if his family's bad?
Thanks for the follow.
Yeah, thanks for the follow, Siphater.
Oh, thank you.
Hello, Zubair. Thank you very much.
What if his, I'm trying to approach and probe this mindset that is Eloria. Has she put any thoughts? Felwolf is the type of person that likes to talk about his family. Obviously, mentioned his father multiple times. Has there been any other thoughts about Felwolf's family, since that seems to be the area you're going to next, that Eloria has thought about?
Given that it's foreign territory, she obviously has her concerns about the people there. I mean, during her time in the Western Kingdoms, she traveled all across it with her druid circle and met all kinds of people. There are, objectively good and bad people there, that she has encountered. Um, so, like, and like I said earlier, in Eloria's mind, uh, traveling with this group, as as ragtag as they are, and as enigmatic as a few of them are, it would be more uh, conducive to her survival to continue to
To just
travel
go
with
with the
them,
blows.
to go with them, than to try and forge her own path alone.
Yeah.
Because she saw, uh, basically what happened. I mean, she, along with everyone else, saw what happened to all of us, to all of the party, when even when we were together and fighting against Khan, that there are things worse than Khan out there, especially in the sands, and she wouldn't be able to do it alone.
Yeah.
So for the
It goes
time
with that
being,
rule that there's always somebody stronger, there's always somebody worse.
exactly.
Yeah.
So with that mindset, she travels with the party, not because she trusts them, but because she objectively needs them to survive and to fulfill her mission. If they're
She's approaching from a logical angle.
from a more logical angle than
Yeah.
emotional, because and that is why I've said quite a few times that the idea of not wanting to basically wanting to save the lives of the party, and to and the anger that she felt when Zach had gotten himself abducted and beaten. She was pissed at that, but she didn't know why. And when we were fighting Khan and everybody was falling, she was she was desperate, but she didn't know why. These moments have been sparking things, like emotions in her, that she hasn't felt for a long time. And so she's trying, and it's a part of her that she thought she had uh, left behind, basically, or at the very least subdued enough to where it wouldn't be a problem. But going through these experiences, whatever may have remained of those kinds of emotions are beginning to, whatever spark was left is beginning to be fanned by these experiences. But she's still trying to cling to that logical mindset.
Something else that you've learned through dialogue at this point was that in the territory that you're going to, there is a type of caster that's similar to you.
Your shamans.
The shamans. What is Eloria's thought process on the shamans so far? Do they intrigue her?
It does. The culture, hearing that there's another culture similar to Druidism, but perhaps ultimately different, since it comes from a very different place, she would be intrigued to learn about it and experience that. But it hasn't taken the forefront of her mind. At the forefront of her mind are two things: her survival, and the ultimate like enlightenment of what is going on with the Badlands and the mystery behind the Black King Citadel. That's at the forefront of her mind for most of the time.
Okay.
So it's not something that she has thought about. But when you had initially talked about it, when we saw the shaman's name in that in the druid list, it did pique her interest for a moment. So that is there. That interest is there. It's just not relevant right now.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and pull the Uno reverse card on you. What has been Felwolf's thoughts on Eloria and the way that she has conducted herself with the party? What was going through his head during the fight with Khan when Eloria had basically suggested surrender, aside from what he had already said, things like that.
With Eloria suggesting surrender, he would have respected Eloria's choice. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, and he does his best to try to see things from all sides, but at the same time, he is bound by a code. And should he break that code, there are pretty drastic consequences, not just for him, but for the entirety of his family. And that's what is almost consistently on the forefront of his mind, is the welfare of the family that depends on him. Their very livelihood depends on him. If he fails this mission, they're done for. And so he takes his mission very seriously. That does not stop him, however, from being a decent person, which is why he's always friendly with everybody, helps where he can, things like that. When it comes to how Eloria conducts herself, he doesn't really have a problem. Like, he's been an experienced adventurer. This is a guy that's traveled the majority of this continent. And even before he became an adventurer, he comes from a noble background. He has to be able to see things from a wider perspective, or else you're not going to be a leader for very long. And that's how he was raised. Since he is, as you've heard, the firstborn son, a lot of responsibility fell on his shoulders. Not just with training and the becoming a samurai or even becoming a noble. It's the fact that he knew certain monikums of things were expected from him as a representative. And it shows now that he's actually, his father, for example, has become a well-known individual. That much you've gleaned so far. You may not know, but it would seem that a large portion of people do. Who this individual is, you've not really gleaned yet. But in terms of what he thinks of Eloria, he so far has nothing but respect. You've not given him a reason to think otherwise. I mean, everybody has their own personality. Eloria might be a somewhat introverted type person. There's nothing wrong with that. He's not gonna shun her. She's not done anything wrong. Granted, she has dealt face damage to Arya.
Face damage?
By making her fall into a pit.
Oh, true.
But he kind of chalked it up to Arya's personality, the way she conducts herself, which he can't blame you for that. It's going to be a logical thing. Yeah, there you go.
Alrighty. Melody, you haven't had the chance to talk for a while. Same question goes to you. What are Shadow's thoughts on Felwolf and Eloria? Does he have any particular problems with them? Does he see them in a different light than they see each other? Or, what's going on in Shadow's head?
The most important thing in Shadow's head is he has looked at these individuals as more or less comrades that he hasn't had the chance to get close to, as nobody has really put themselves out there to really talked to him. The only modicum of conversation that he's really had with a single character was at the top of the tower during the morning. That was the only actual conversation that he's had, besides being interrogated or asked many questions too, without any sort of civility to it. He's given what little information he could, while still more or less keeping it to the point. It's not that he's hiding anything, it's always just been that he's never needed to share unimportant information in his eyes.
He's very
And
candid.
he's to the point, and it sometimes comes across that he's not trustworthy or that he's hiding something. It's not necessarily his fault, but it is the way that he is. He has felt trustworthy to these adventurers, Felwolf being interesting to his eye, as he is adorned in Eastern gear that is very similar to those that his mother had once talked about in the land that he is originally from. And that more or less brings interest to this character, and so Shadow wishes to learn more about Felwolf in this sort of way. He doesn't really understand Eloria and her very fiery passion, but is glad to have her as an ally as such. He's very unsure of her due to the fact that your character has, for the lack of better terms, mood swings. And this puts him off a little bit from time to time. For the rest of the party, he seems to semi get along with, and he's trying to be friendly. He just doesn't really get the chance to, as most people tend to stare away from him unless they need something from him, which has kind of gotten to him a little bit.
Alrighty. Oh shit! There was. Fuck! I had something in my head. I couldn't remember what it was. Oh, I guess I'll remember in a minute.
Okay.
Let's see. Arch, has there been anything new popping up in your brain as we've been monologuing?
It seems somewhat of an odd question asked at this point, but I'll ask it anyway. Your group has been together for consciously only a few days. The other time you may have spent unconscious in the desert, with the distance that you've traveled, few weeks, at most a month. For your characters, and whoever wants to go first to answer the question can. For your characters, is this the longest that you've gone in close proximity with another individual that you've had to rely on in some manner?
I think you and I both. Sorry, I thought you were finished. Go ahead.
And if so, how does it make your character feel? And if not, how is this any different, or in any manner is this unique?
I do. Do you want to go first, Melody? You go ahead.
Yeah, I want to get this out there before you guys take the stage again, as it were. So as this character's upbringing, the only ones that were really there for him was more or less his family, which would be his mother and his siblings. However, at a young age, seemingly found almost by chance or fate, whatever you'll call it, he ran into Hawk. And from therefore, those two have been together through thick and thin. And he kind of finds it a relief not to have to constantly be on his guard and be careful of everything he more or less does, always watching the shadows, always checking the rooftops, always just aware that at any point Hawk would show up once again. And because of this, he's let his guard down a little bit, but is still constant and vigilant because of this, almost to a paranoid level.
So with the way Hawk has trained him, he's become paranoid at his appearance at any given moment.
Always expect the unexpected. It's when you finally expect the unexpected, nothing happens.
Yeah. Because nothing's unexpected.
Exactly.
If you want to go through if you want, you can go through like a situation that was described to you at least on how.
Oh God, which one?
This actually came up today. I'll save that for afterwards, but I'll hold on to that for after this round of questions. But if you need to continue, go ahead. But I'll have one.
Okay. Well, if I remember I'll tell the story of an important time when Shadow was actually learning to defend himself. He was doing fine in combat, but he had this giveaway, this tail to his actions, more or less. And this tail was literally his tail. And so Master Hawk had given him a warning, if I remember correctly. Not a few, a single warning that if you cannot get your body under control, there will be serious consequences to your actions. One thing led to another. He slipped in combat, gave away his position, and, well, he came out a little behind. Lost his tail. And so this is like one of those essential run-ins that he would have. And he would end up showing up later to more or less teach him in his own ways, usually leaving him beaten or black and blue. But, however, beating into him the lessons of this cruel, harsh place. Is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah.
Or were you talking about a different one? No, that was the one you were gonna hit. Alright.
Spaz, Fel, any I know that you somewhat touched on it, Spaz, with not trusting people or your experience with your companion of the having gone missing or been compromised in some way?
So, to answer that question specifically that you asked before, when it comes to traveling with a group, I mean, the last time she traveled with a group was with her druid circle when she was traveling the Western Kingdom. So it's only been a few months since she's traveled or with people, but it's different this time in the sense that um, I mean, she was basically alone aside from Zach, who was a stranger to her. Even when they arrived to Oasis, they were more so just acquaintances at that point. Um, so journey, coming across Fell, Shadow, Stolen, and everybody in that tavern, and eventually making, uh, you know, uh, allies of necessity out of them. It's different because she doesn't have, I mean, anybody remotely familiar uh, with her. So she basically has had to just in her own judgment, and what she had learned in the in and reach back and kind of uh, use what she had learned in the years as training as a druid with her circle and what they had taught her to influence her decision making. Um, so it's not that she hasn't traveled with people for a long time. It's different because she is out. She basically has struck out on her own. Uh, like when a kid moves out of their parents' house, basically is kind of the analogy I would use. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how it is for her.
Okay.
For Felwolf, I also kind of already touched his personality. He's been raised to always put his best foot forward. Because if he does so, he knows that somebody, if he does so, the chances are that it's the other person who's essentially not a very nice person. It being nice will open you more doors than being cruel. And as I've stated before in one of the previous interviews, is the fact that the main goal is to settle a debate or a fight before the sword is drawn. Those are the greatest victories. Now, granted, you can't always do that, and so then he has a classic samurai moment. But as for traveling with people, he's traveled with Arya, he's traveled with Elenan. He's not a stranger to traveling with individuals. Even before he was an adventurer, he traveled with his father's faction, and that's a whole bit by itself. But no, he's not a stranger to traveling with individuals. He's always made a point to always extend that hand and smile, and to always put that best foot forward.
Okay. So with this group, it's not odd for him at all, or uncommon for him to be traveling with a group of not complete strangers, but still a group of people that are not entirely familiar with him, or he himself.
Well, I mean,
with
yeah,
them.
we're all from different backgrounds, all different personalities, and that's just a community. That's all it is. This is just a small community. We're traveling together. I mean, it's not a foreign concept. If you think about, who his family works for example, Arch, it's something that kind of goes hand in hand. You kind of have to be able to do that.
All right. And so, How long have we been up now?
3.5 hours.
3.5 hours. We're 30 minutes over. Do you guys have any more questions? Or does chat have any questions that they'd like to ask any of the cast members here?
I don't have anything that springs to mind right now.
Alright. Would you ever want to see your characters in any other world than the one they currently exist in? And how do you think that would work?
And how do you think that would work?
No, I know it was how, but I said ho. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Yami. Thanks for that correction.
If I would see my character, I mean, if Felwolf can make it to endgame, I would love to see, not necessarily another world. I mean, it's always nice for playing a character that turns out to be a hit. I mean, some of my other characters like Senchi, fucking Belora, who else we have? Passion. A lot of my other characters from my other campaigns have been fan favorites amongst our circle of friends. But with Felwolf, like, I would love to see some sort of a, after Endgame, I would love to see sort of like death battle. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Put all of our favorite characters we've ever played into the arena. See what happens.
Just a complete battle royale.
Yeah. And there's no punishments, just to see, you know, all these fan favorite picks to go against each other. If I had to put him in a campaign, I don't think he would fit in the majority of like the standard D&D campaigns. There is samurai in D&D, but they are very loosely samurai. They're not the samurai we think of. If I put him in a custom campaign, for sure not gonna fit in melodies. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
He'd probably be murdering people or getting murdered. No, I don't think I would put him in another campaign. At least not one I've been in. So
I really can't imagine another world or campaign that I could put this character into. Either I just don't have the kind of imagination, or I just don't think they would fit anywhere else, really.
Touch up on this. I did mention this at the beginning of the session. This is a returning character that I have played a few other times. This is my current favorite out of the 5th edition characters. As to I have yet to actually do a full rendition of my original 3rd edition character. But he has been through 3 separate worlds. One he actually got torn out of through a time and space paradox arch.
I remember that one.
Yeah, a lot of people's characters are ripped into.
Yeah, mine
that.
was as well. Yeah,
But
yeah,
That was interesting.
we don't talk about anything other than the beach scene with that. All right.
The beach. Oh my god. Not the
Oh
beach
yeah,
scene.
we had a beach day. There was watermelons, girls in bikinis, murder pickle. It was great.
Yeah, I almost
Pickle.
died. Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah. Beach day.
40 D8 damage. Huh?
Oh, let's not go into that again.
Bruh.
We've told that story on stream before.
Yeah.
I know, but it's so
Yeah.
funny.
Good God. I am probably gonna head off since we are over our time, if that is all right with you, DM.
I have one last question, and then we can end it up. If one of you guys other than Fel, wants to try to find us somebody to raid, that'd be wonderful. If not, whatever. But one last question. This one's going to be towards Fel. You guys are obviously heading in the direction towards the Cherry Blossom Pass, which is the home for your clan. Are you what do you expect that I'm going to end up doing with your family? That your clan at least that you're heading towards. Do you have ideas what might happen, or like what is your mindset as we're moving towards this area that's where your character is based from?
Honestly, I try not to think about it. I do like some modicum of surprise. I expect that you're going to have my characters as NPCs do something. I don't know. I'm completely in the dark on that, and I'm playing Felwolf. My family, though it is connected, it is. They are their own entities. They have their own lives, things like that. You and I know how my clan functions, and we have guidelines that we follow. But aside from that, it's really DM's call.
All right. That was last question. This was I think episode 3 of the Wednesday Wonders,
Yes,
I believe. If not, that was 4. But who's really counting? They're just moments where we sit down and talk. But again, this Saturday is going to be the next episode of. I guess we're just rolling with it for now until a name is actually made up later. The Epic of Lagalon. This Saturday, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. It runs throughout the night. You don't have to be physically watching or watching what's going on, but you can always sit in and hear us in the background. Again, we'll hopefully have something on Sunday with Melody. Another Monday. As things have beginning to get settled with me, hopefully I can make Mondays again. If not, Fel can always scream at Melody to play something. So, until this Saturday, I hope that we will see you all there. Are we rating anybody, guys, or?
There's a few D&D pages going on right now. I found one if you want to throw some viewers their way. They're only sitting at 28.
We also have Thamriel and Kine Phantom Wolf online if you want to raid them.
Oh, well, if we have friends, go ahead and raid those first.
We have Tham up. What's Tham's whole thing?
Thamriel, THMRIYELL.
THRY.
Thamriel.
Like Tamriel, but Thamriel.
THAMRY.
No, THAMRIYELL.
All right. There you go. Go ahead and give Tham some love. They rated us, I think, 2 weeks ago.
It did.
So go ahead and make sure you give them some love. What are they doing right now?
They are playing VR chat.
Oh, this is probably in regards to some of the VR chat role play, somewhat Dungeons and Dragon-esque. So it's still somewhat on par with what we're doing. Give them some love, and yep, you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekday. We'll see you Saturday.
See y'all Saturday.
Bye for now.
Peace, kids.